I don't think people really think it through what they're really burning and destroying when they do it.
Do you remember what your first fight was?
If you don't need to touch it, don't touch it.
That flag often people associate with the country / the government.
When you're home, you don't get paid. You get injured, you go home, you don't get paid.
There's a responsibility that is attached to that gun.
If you go into like very fearful, then that's when you make bad decisions.
This is where another weird controversy happens.
If you can't have pride in the place that you live and the place that represents you, get the hell out. People got to realize, I get that you do that if you have to get out of there. The way the pullout happened, just like Iraq, everyone who died in that war died in vain because of that pullout.
What was that like? What was going through your head?
Get the hell up. If it's your time, it's going to be your time.
So for those that are listening, we did actually record a podcast already. We had some tech issues. Sadly, we lost the footage, and John was nice enough to do this again. So thank you, John, very much for doing that.
My pleasure.
In the comfort of your home, which is beautiful. So, John, let's introduce yourself to the audience for those that are too young to remember or too old to remember.
Yeah, both ways, right? John Tig Tiegen, I was one of the GRS guys that was involved in the attack on the U.S. consulate at 9/11/2012.
Right. So there was a lot of controversy around that. We're going to get into more of that in a little bit. But before we do that, I wanted to actually ask you just about your fighting career, just in general, and the type of equipment that you used. And the question that came to me was, if something went down, if all of a sudden you heard there was a shooting down the street or something like that, what's your go-to equipment? Do you have a particular favorite?
For like home or over there?
Here at home first.
I go to my dog.
Okay.
It's my first line of defense.
Okay.
He's a little fur missile. Other than that, I mean, I got a nice little 300 blackout shorty that I use for home defense. And then secondary is just a SIG 9mm.
Okay. Concealed carry?
Not really. So my thing is, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But this gun, it's a Legion, it's an X5, so it's a pretty big sidearm. It's like a hand cannon for the most part, but we've kind of vilified gun owners for the most part across the nation. So to me, I'm to a point where I just pretty much open carry for the 90% of the time. Sometimes, I go into stores. I cover it because it's close proximity stuff.
Yeah.
And, I just to kind of keep the honest guy honest, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And not to give them ideas so they can't just snag it out of my hand. But people will say, well, if you're open carry, you'll be the first target, whatever. I don't care.
Right.
That means everybody else gets away. But also seeing somebody else with a gun in some locations will sometimes deter people from coming in and doing things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword in my look at. But again, I'm just tired of this whole thing, of trying to hide our guns from everything and everybody because it's so taboo nowadays. When again, that's what gave us our freedoms in the first place. It was, it was everyday farmers, shop owners, store shop owners that gave us our freedom.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the military. It
Mm-hmm.
it was the pastors, again, just regular day citizens that
Yep.
gave us our freedoms, and they carried guns. They all trained with guns. They were expected to learn how to defend their community with them and stuff like that. But again, it's just been pretty much really since it seems like the 60s, 70s, it's really been bastardized. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just to a point where I really just don't care.
Yeah. It's interesting how different parts of the country have cultures around gun ownership. Here in Colorado, I'm assuming it's a little bit more acceptable.
You'd be surprised.
Okay. Well,
It's
Colorado's got some rural areas, I know, but do you get any slack for carrying around?
No, I think it's my size for one. Every now and then people do look, but then nobody's ever said anything.
You're 100% correct. When I first purchased a gun, the weight of it is, you feel it,
Oh, yeah.
like, especially when you have kids at home, there's a responsibility that is attached to that gun. And if you don't have that responsibility, that's when you get into trouble, of course. But I do feel like, and I actually have taken people out shooting who were, absolutely opposed to shooting. And the second they do it, something changes, there's something about it that, especially if they're a woman, if they're elderly, it's a great equalizer.
It is.
If someone's trying to break into your home, and the dog doesn't hurt either.
Yeah. As for the ones with kids, I started teaching my kids about guns pretty much about when they could walk and talk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my son fired a gun, which is actually, I think it's in a picture up there if it turns on. He was 3.5, shot an AR.
An AR?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but again, he goes, you teach him the responsibilities of it, and, what the damage it can do. Once you pull the trigger, it's kind of hard, obviously, with the kid. They don't really totally understand it, but you keep, over and over again repeating it. And they started getting it. And then anytime they touched a firearm, okay, now you got to clean it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if you don't need to touch it, don't touch it, kind of a thing. But it also takes away the curiosity of a real gun versus a toy gun. Because my kids have been around it, and now they're just kind of like, they're like, I don't want to go shoot. It's kind of like, I've done it enough.
The novelty is kind of one off a little bit.
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah. So I think that's one major thing that people, they try to hide it from their kids. That's stupid.
Yeah.
That's when the little kid goes into your grandma's purse, pulls the trigger, shoots himself or their grandma.
Yep.
So,
that's the first thing I tell my kids is if you ever see a gun at the one that I had or anywhere else, always assume it's a loaded. Always point it at the ground. If you handled it, had to handle it, whatever reason, always pointing it at the ground. Never put your finger on the trigger. Just basic 101 stuff that if you've never been around guns, you just don't know.
Yep, exactly.
Do you remember what your first fight was? Where was it? What were you in the military or were you a contractor at this point?
Firefight?
Yeah.
Contractor.
Yeah. What was that like? Did your preparation prepare you for the intensity of that situation?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It did. I mean, where was I? I think I was coming back or getting ready to go to the gym, I think is what it was when it happened. I had to run back.
Where were you?
It was Afghanistan.
Okay.
Yeah. Had to just getting ready to go to the gym. I think I just got off shift. And I just went back in, got stuff ready, and went out there. And, it wasn't very intense. It wasn't very long. I don't think I've even like 2 or 3 shots I got off. So that was about it.
And so your training just kicked in, felt like I would imagine on some level, hearing a bullet whiz by you. Are you getting bullets whizzing by you in training?
Actually we did one time in 29 Palms.
Really? On purpose?
Yeah, it was on accident. Okay. But we're actually, I think we were qualifying out on the range, and they had another range that was kind of behind us. And I think it was some bunch of officers that were shooting because we got down on the ground. We could see the rounds like hitting the ground next to us.
Oh.
Of course, then you got the range safety officer yelling at us, like, get the hell up. And we're like, a lot more words than that.
Yeah,
but then he figured out, he saw the puff starting to come out. Then he launched the ceasefire. They're just, I think a bunch of officers were shooting.
That's almost scarier than being in an actual battle, I would think, to some degree, because you're not expecting it.
Being at 29 Palms, I think that's what helped me through a lot of things is everything was live fire. So I was used to it. We'd have, cover. We wouldn't really have rounds, shooting over you per se, but pretty close. You're going on to objective. And you got live rounds, fighting, 100 yards in front of you, maybe not even that. They kept it a pretty good distance, but I think it was 50 yards. So that's still fairly freaking close.
Yeah.
So, but to me, it was always one of the, if it's your time, it's going to be your time for the most part. You don't want to do stupid things. If you go into like very fearful, then that's when you make bad decisions.
Yeah. Interesting. What did you say? 29 Palms?
Yeah.
What's that?
That's the Marine Corps base on 29 Palms. It's a Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Training Center.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay. We talked about this on the first round of the podcast. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the warrior spirit and whether or not a warrior is made or born.
So I think there's two. I think some are born, some are made. I think the ones that were kind of the board, maybe not warrior spirit, but like the warrior led kind of a thing, leader. Kind of like, I use George Washington a lot when I talk about this, just because to me, I think he was born to be a leader. I mean, just the way he portrayed himself, and you read on the, what he did on the battlefield and how he led our nation, and how, again, he was willing to give up the power technically that he had, because he could have been pretty much, the president until the day he died. And but he was just like, you want to be a civil servant and give it up. And to me, that's what a real leader does. He does it to a certain point. It's like, okay, now time to pass the baton. Where nowadays, again, I don't call our politicians leaders no more because they sit up in that office for 50. That's all they know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some that never had a real job in their whole entire life. There's just politics. To me, that's not a leader.
Agreed.
But as for that, I mean, yeah, they're born and then they can be raised. So I don't think I was a born leader. I think I was more of a raised, kind of brought up just through, what do I say, like just forged and fire, just from childhood going up, just kind of taught me I pretty much had to take control of my own life, not trust people, kind of a thing.
Why is that?
Just a lot of, pretty much no upbringing, no real parents, I should say. So I had to pretty much learn right from wrong by myself, push the limits. I kind of learned, what limits I could push to a certain extent without really getting in trouble. And, then when I joined the Marine Corps, it's when I really learned how to lead and stuff like that. So again, I think it can be taught. I think anybody can learn to be a leader. Just a lot of people just don't want to do it.
What did you learn in the Marine Corps about leadership?
Just how to take care of your guys. Just it's not always about you. A lot of times, again, for me, a leader is somebody who teaches their guys how to be better than them. That's kind of what I learned. And for me, it was just, teaching my guys, what, not just their job, but two jobs above them. Especially in combat, people die. And you don't want a guy that's, when they see, if I was a squad leader, let's say I die and then two of the other two top squad or team leaders die. What about that third one? He ain't going to know what the other guys' jobs were. My job was a platoon sergeant. So for me, it was just always making sure my guys, pretty much even the private, knew what my job was at least, but all the way up to the platoon sergeant's job.
Do soldiers fit into the parameters, or do leaders sometimes change the parameters a little bit to meet the personality type of the soldier? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think they do nowadays. But I know what you're talking about. I mean, for the most part, not really. I mean, you got to meet their standards. But I mean, even when I was in, there was guys that didn't meet the standards, but they still kind of let them stay in. I mean, just like even like the PT standard, at a certain point, where you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't, especially in the infantry, or even like the weight and height standard kind of a thing. There were some pretty heavy set guys. But then there's also one guy who was a major mental problem, but they would not remove him from the company.
Why was that?
I have no idea why it was. I mean, he even deployed with us to Okinawa, major. I mean, dude would not take a shower, would not clean his room, he was nasty. And they just, again, it was more of a punishment to him, but it doesn't punish him. It punishes the whole entire company,
right? Especially
the platoon that he's in or the squad. So to me, it's like, you would think they wouldn't do that crap, but they do all the time. And it to me, it's stupid. That's not good leadership.
Yeah. I would presume it affects the whole morale of everybody, the trust of everybody. So
they gave him to me, and I do what I do best, and I pretty much put him through hell. But then he again took off, went to the base chaplain, said I was doing this, doing that. Of course, I had everything written and recorded. I used the duty NCO and stuff like that. But again, I shouldn't have to go through that in the first place. He should have been removed. But because it went all the way to the base commander and stuff like that. And I wasn't a junior Marine. No, I think I was a sergeant by then. But it's just something you shouldn't have to deal with. Again, that falls on piss poor leadership.
When life and death is on the line, what kind of traits do you want in the guy sitting next to you?
Reliability is the number one. The one, what we say is the honor, courage, and commitment. You want the honor to stand there, the courage to keep going, and the commitment to stay in the fight. That's really what you need.
Do you sense that when you meet somebody new? We're going to get into the Benghazi story in a little bit, but some of these guys that you're working with, you show up and you're fighting for your lives in 24 hours, 48 hours by the time you reach somewhere. How do you know the type of person that they are?
You really don't. I mean, you won't know if they're actually staying in the fight until there's a fight.
Yeah, that's a little nerve-wracking.
I mean, usually it's the guys who talk more crap that actually take off. The ones that act tough that never actually been in it, when they actually get hit, they take off. I saw it a couple times. Usually it's not really direct fire, more indirect fire, not direct fire. So I'm talking about guns, indirect fires like mortars and stuff. That stuff came in, they would take off, they'd hide, couldn't find them. They just get sent home.
Can you recall any stories of that happening with you in the battlefield? Is that common, or is that?
It's not very common now, but it does happen.
Yeah.
Again, these are guys who spent time in the military, got all the training, but whenever faced with reality, usually it's the guys who kind of never had to deal with the live fire portion of stuff. Again, that's where I credit the Marine Corps and where I was. I mean, that's all we did was live fire. So we had crap blowing up around us all the time.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes guys are lost in the training. It's not.
Yep. Especially at 29 Palms.
Okay. Did you have anybody that you knew that?
No, usually it was units that came in from outside of 29 Palms.
Okay.
I mean, it was at least 2 or 3 a year.
Yeah. Yeah. That's sad. For somebody who's never really experienced the intensity of a gunfight, help explain what that's like.
You really can't.
Yeah.
I mean, for me to explain it, better to watch just Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, it's intense. That opening scene is wild.
If you want to, you can't even explain it. I mean, you can watch it, you can kind of feel it, but me even talking about it doesn't even do it justice.
Yeah, just to feel the pressure of the bombs blowing off next to you and seeing your buddies go down, that'd be rough. There was certain World War II veterans. I don't know how many we have left. They're going pretty quick.
Yeah.
But they watched that and they said that was the most accurate scene that they ever saw about that storm in the beach.
I would have to agree.
Yeah.
That was intense.
Very intense. What would you say is the worst part of warfare?
For me, I would actually have to say the lies that come with it. The deceit. Again, that's just on my side. Because you think you're doing things for one reason, but you think you're there, but then you end up finding out, well, that's not really why. You're just, for a whole nother complete reason. For me, kind of like, I'll say not really for me, but even for Iraq, when we sent guys in there because of the whole WMD, which I know they had WMDs, but not in the amount that they had. To me, that's just deceit and lying. You got guys that went in, to me, just died in vain, not for the real reason that they thought they were going in for. And then, it's just stuff like that. I think if we didn't have so much of that, we wouldn't have as much wars.
That's such a taboo thought. I can remember being younger, the idea of bringing up to a veteran that they perhaps fought in vain and or lost buddies in vain was like, you just didn't breach that. And it almost feels like our culture, there's starting to be some acceptance of that because we're all seeing just how poor the leadership is. And we're all questioning, what do we really need to be in this particular conflict? Have you seen that same transition culturally from people?
I think after the Afghanistan pullout debacle opened up a lot of guys' eyes.
What do you think about that?
I mean, it was probably one of the most heinous, disgusting pullout in the history of the world.
We were told the narrative was that it was, that they said that they were going to do it. Biden wins. We were going to do it, and then we did it. And it was almost like, give me a gold star, we did it. But it didn't feel like a botched pullout. That was the other thing that always rubbed me the wrong way. It was like, it was sold as it wasn't perfect, and those things happen, and we didn't. But how do you leave that much equipment behind? Billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of equipment.
Well, not only that, where they pulled out from, I mean, they could have used Bagram Air Base, which is 1,000 times more secure, a lot safer, a lot bigger. Because the Afghan airport in Kabul, that airport sucked in a normal life, normal day. I mean, it was like trying to go to the Springs Airport, and having millions of people show up. It just can't. You can't do it. It's got, I think one airstrip or two airstrips, but this one's got really just one. Bagram got like 2 or 3. It's huge. It's a massive base. It's massive perimeter. And, but they shut that down in the middle of the night. Didn't even tell the locals. So, it was just the generals, the officers, and the staff NCOs who were behind that, I mean, they should all lose their commission, should all lose their rank, and pretty much lose everything that they earned, because that was a complete disgrace. And you had 13 guys that lost their lives, plus another 40 who will be injured and maimed the rest of their lives, and the hundreds of civilians that died. And again, when nobody's held accountable, nothing ever gets done, nothing ever gets fixed. So, I mean, that was a complete disgrace. And the way the pullout happened, and I'm gonna say it just like Iraq, everyone who died in that war died in vain because of that pullout.
The word that comes to mind was actually penned by a friend of mine who wrote some really scathing stuff. He was over there serving. He said, gutted. We were absolutely gutted. Not to mention the Afghan allies that we had over there that they fought shoulder to shoulder with for decades, I believe.
20 years.
And then when we pulled out, it created that vacuum that just got filled, and a lot of those people were tortured. And I mean, these are people that you bled with, that you fought next to. I can't even begin to imagine how difficult that is. And then to see the media, and then quite honestly, just the armchair American go, well, I guess it happens, well, it sucks, but anyway, what's on Netflix? It's like, nobody's listening. It's very frustrating.
It is.
It's frustrating for me, and I'm just trying to do my best to pay attention. I can't imagine what that's like for you guys that have been over there and actually.
I mean, you would think that, they'd have learned from Vietnam, from that pullout.
Right.
It was a worse pullout than Vietnam. I mean, who did it happen under again? Another freaking Democrat. Hate to throw that out there like that, but they get us into a lot of wars, and when they pull out, it's a disgraceful pullout. It's never been a true, honest win for us, which to me, again, we won the war, but we stayed and tried to rebuild. I think we need to stop rebuilding these countries.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. Go in there, do your job, and get out. Just kind of like we did, well, honestly, I'll say with Iran. Hit their systems and be done with it. There's no reason to go in and try to rebuild a nation that doesn't, or even the populace as a whole doesn't care for you. It'll never work. I mean, they want to go back to, like, because we rebuilt Germany, we rebuilt Japan and stuff like that. That's a whole nother mentality of society. These Arab nations, they don't have that same mentality as the rest of the world.
Talk to me a little bit about the bond that you create with guys that you do fight next to, shoulder to shoulder. Every service guy that I've spoken to, every veteran, talks about a brotherhood that you almost can't put into words. As a man, that's appealing to me. I've been through some experiences, not life and death, certainly, but athletics to some degree. You get some sense of camaraderie and common goal, and going through some pain. I had a one-eyed former hockey player as a coach that just ran us into the ground. So I feel like I've had a taste of what that type of brotherhood feels like, but I'm just curious to hear what your perspective is on the battlefield. I
mean, I would say it's kind of the same thing, but more like, you're going to the championship and you guys win. That'd be more like, again, not in track and field, totally different, more like an actual team sport.
Right.
Or like the World Series where you got the 7 games you got to play, you go all the way to 7, and you always have that bond, even though it's a little bit different with these Major League Baseball, but I'd say maybe college. It seems like college kids seem to hang on to the more of that national championship than even Super Bowl players do, or Major League Baseball. But it is hard kind of to describe, but I think it's a little bit, it is deeper. You can go without talking to each other for a few years and then get together and you just walked off the plane.
Pick it right back up.
Yeah, just pick it right back up. Because, it's life, especially if it came down to where it was actual life and death. People actually died, people were shot.
Yeah.
So I've been to fire, I've been to things where nobody got hurt, and I don't remember the guys I was there with.
Interesting.
It's just one of those moments, it's just kind of like, it didn't last long. I think I'll say like 30 minutes or so. But again, I can't remember the guy who was there with,
Yeah.
But, you're getting shot at, you're helping doing first aid, stuff like that. It's a little bit different. It's more intense. And I think it kind of leaves more of a longer impression.
Do you miss that? That's another thing I hear from veterans.
It was fun.
Yeah. I can't imagine going from that kind of intensity, that type of bond to, an insurance agent or whatever, with all
Like
due
Tonto,
respect
Tonto, I
to,
think
with
he
all
does
due
that.
respect to Tonto. I mean, hey, if you can, yeah.
Well, I mean, it goes back to like you do have to kind of let yourself relax and calm down. But being in the military is different. I think being a contractor is easier.
Okay.
Because you don't have that you don't have that long-term bond. Like in the military, you'll serve with guys for 4 years or 6 years or like a full year straight where you're there day in and day out. Contractors, because of the rotation, you might only be with somebody for 30 days and then they're gone. Somebody else comes in, but you're there for a total of like, let's say like even 60 days to 90 days.
Yeah.
So you might be with there for 90 days, but then you might not see him again. It's a little bit easier coming back home as contractors, or even when you lose a brother. But you do have guys who they serve in the military with, when contracting with, and then they even have a deeper bond. So when one of those guys ends up getting killed, I think that's even harder than when it was when in the military. So trying to compare, saying they're all equal, they're not. I don't even, those guys again went into Fallujah and stuff like that. Again, being around those guys months, years, day after day, I mean, that's a strong bond.
Yeah.
I don't think contractors have that not even close to the same type of bond.
Yeah, that's such an interesting dynamic. You're doing essentially the same work, but the parameters around it are so different. That's why I was asking you a little bit earlier, like how, when you get thrown into something with a guy, how do you develop that connection, that trust, that communication, especially if they're coming from different fields of training. That was another thing I heard about, that the Delta Force guys are different than the SEALs, than the Marines. And
what the Marines, they all look up to us.
All the Marines look up to you?
No, everybody else looks up to the Marines.
Oh, is that right? As a Marine, is that the truth? So you were in the Marines for how many years?
4 years.
4 years. Became a sergeant in the Marines. And then you got into contracting around what time?
July 2003 in Kuwait for a year, and then got hooked up with Blackwater in late 2004.
Okay. Is Blackwater still one of the top contracting companies?
I don't think so. I know they're still around doing things, but I think they're under something else now.
Okay.
I think the big contractor now is Triple Canopy. I think they're the biggest ones, because I think they kind of bought a bunch of the little ones or something like that.
Okay.
But, I think we did talk about this one with the Niger Square incident in Iraq.
Tell us about that.
So when you talk about Blackwater got the black eye because of that incident, but actually, to me, it's actually the black eyes on the State Department, because the Blackwater doesn't hire people. Like the agency, the Blackwater didn't hire me. The agency hired me through Blackwater.
CIA hired you.
And same thing with the State Department. Any other, so Blackwater bids on contracts, and then the State Department, agency, DOD, whoever, they say, okay, we like your price. Okay, send us the resumes of the guys coming in, and then we'll pick the ones that we want.
Interesting.
And then what the Blackwater does, they just train you, and they facilitate your travel and all the other crap. So you never talk to State Department, all these guys, unless you're actually overseas working. When you're back home, you just talk to Blackwater. So when that Niger Square thing went and they fired Blackwater, they didn't fire none of the guys. All the same guys stayed there. Except for the ones involved in that direct incident, which they would have got sent home whether you fired Blackwater or not. But again, for them to fire Blackwater, they had more assets than any contract company out there, and they saved more lives than than the military actually did. Especially when it came to Americans and even their own. I mean, Blackwater, the contractors themselves, I mean, they would fly into harm's way to save military and all the other contractors being hit all over Iraq.
Why?
Because their fellow Americans getting in trouble.
I mean, why would the military not have the same mindset?
Dude, I have no idea. I mean, they'd fly in support. There's a couple, I mean, you can research it. I can't remember the name of it, but they were there for like 2-3 days. Military said they couldn't get in. So Blackwater was flying contractors in, dropping off ammo on top of the roof so they can continue to fight.
Explain why contractors are even necessary. I think for a lot of people who are not as close to all of this, we know that we have the military, we know that we have different branches of military, we know that we have different, divisions of the military for different types of needs. Why are contractors necessary in the first place?
So contractors are cheaper and they're more expendable. So easiest way to put it, there's 175,000 people in the Marine Corps. There's 30,000 grunts. So 175,000 minus the 30,000, what do you got? What's some common core math? 45,000.
Yeah.
So you got 145,000
Did
people.
you see common core math?
Yeah. So you got the 145,000 supporting 30,000 people. So for like every one grunt, you have 5, they say sometimes 5 to 8 people supporting that one person.
That's really interesting. When you say grunt, you mean like a
infantry,
door kicking and
tip of the spear, stuff like that. I mean, even the Navy SEALs, they still have all that support around them. So, that's why you like the Army. That's why, they have like 500,000 people, because their infantry is a lot bigger. Then they got the airbornes that they support. So, again, it's still small. I mean, but again, you think about the 30,000 grunts that need 140,000 people to support them. Where a contractor, you are your own support. So that's the difference. Where like, that private makes 30,000. Okay, let's say you still have that one private, and let's say you have another 5. That's 6 times 30,000.
Right.
So you have that one, then you have the 5 others around them. You're paying for their medical, their retirement, and anything else. Where getting a contractor, you get no medical, you get no retirement. When you're home, you don't get paid. You get injured, you go home, you don't get paid. So we're completely expendable, and we're a lot cheaper.
When you're talking about the support around the grunts in the Marine, for example, what kind of support are you talking about?
Oh, it's all the way from admin, cook, air support, transportation support. I mean, anything you can think of. It's, again, even dental, the medical. I mean, you have a dentist that's separate from the doctor. You have the doctor that's separate from, everyday care. So that's 3 guys for medical right there.
But as a contractor, you still need to eat. Still got to fix a root canal.
But you got to pay for that yourself.
Okay.
You come home, you go see a dentist out in town.
What do you do when you're in the middle of Benghazi and you need to get a tooth fixed?
You go to local.
Really?
Yeah, there's even the military same way. Like, so sometimes if there was, let's say, like Iraq or even Afghanistan, you're next to a military base. If they could, they would try to get you into a military doctor, but again, the agency I'm talking about.
Right.
But if you didn't know somebody, you probably weren't. You're gonna have to go out in town, or you're flying home.
Do you have any stories of guys going into town and get a shitty haircut or?
Oh, we went in town, got haircuts all the time. No.
Do they do culturally? Is it the same thing in a barbershop? In the middle of Benghazi as it is maybe here?
No, it's there. No, it's different. A little nervous. They use straight razors to shave. Of course, you got you're underneath. You got your hand on your gun. Like, this dude slits my throat. I'm putting one in him.
Wow.
Because you just don't know. But you try to go to ones where they found out that was trusted. I don't know how they would find them.
Yeah.
But they had, our government's got people all over the freaking place,
right.
Man. They little assets, stuff like that. So they kind of know before they go in, like, who's pretty kind of safe. So they would tell us, okay, go to this barber, go to that.
That's interesting.
So, like, same with the food, okay, this one's kind of, the locals say, okay, this one's a little bit cleaner than this one. Don't go to this street vendor because of this, go to this street vendor. So we kind of knew. Yeah.
Gotcha. Interesting. What does the American flag mean to you?
It's deep rooted in our nation, and to me, it represents the sacrifices that everyone's made to get us where we are.
Does it bother you to see people desecrate it?
Oh yeah, big time.
Really?
And I think they should be pounded in the ground.
Okay, that's a pretty strong stance.
Yeah,
I mean, understandably.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of people, they just think, oh, it's just a piece of cloth. Well, why don't you tell that to the family that, that's draped over the coffin? That's just a piece of cloth. Or, the guy, again, who's fighting overseas, trying to stay alive next to his brother at Abbey Gate. Tell them it's just a piece of cloth. Because again, we don't fight for our government. We're fighting for each other and for what the country stands for. Again, it's the freedom that it represents. It's the the ability to kind of do what we want when we want to, and just having the ability to be whatever you want. I mean, there ain't really any other nation to where you can do that.
What do you say to those who say that the flag represents oppression, or, white supremacy, or, it's fascinating to see in our lifetime, but not even in our lifetime, really since 9/11, on 9/12, as I'm sure you recall, 2001, everybody put out flags, and it was a symbol of unity. It was a symbol of freedom. It was a symbol, like it was a coming together, a symbol for us coming together. And within the last little over 20 years, that symbol has morphed into very different things for very different people.
Well, I think it goes back to the lies from politicians and media. And it goes back to being in wars for 20 freaking years. It does a toll on a nation. Especially when obviously pretty much, when innocents are being killed on accident or on purpose, however you want to look at it, it does take a toll on a nation. But it goes back to the education system also, in doing indoctrination instead of education. Bringing in the oppression, saying, oh, if you're white, you are the oppressor. Bull crap. Them coming back and saying that, what was it, the 1619, that's when America, no, that is not when, that was when the British kind of controlled it for the most part. America wasn't America until 1770, really, when the revolution started to really build up and get steamed, and 1776 came around. You would like to say that, our country, I mean, it did start when the first pilgrims came, but when you have outside forces controlling, it's not your country. And I think when I know, when we decided, our founders decided we're done with your stupidity, that's when America became America. So to say that, this country was founded on oppression, no, it wasn't. I mean, you had our race, or that flag is founded on racism. Then why did so many blacks fight for that same color? Why did so many blacks have, or even Chinese, even Irish, Asians, Mexicans, Spanish, Puerto Ricans have so much potential when they came here versus you go anywhere else. If that flag represents oppression, why do people are dying trying to get here? The only ones who think it's oppression are the ones who never really understood what oppression is, was never under oppression, and was pretty much everything was been handed to them. They never have to work for anything. When they're told they have to work for something, now it's oppression.
Yeah, there always seems to be a benefit for the professional victim who says that they've been oppressed. It seems like there's always some type of political gain that they're seeking. I mean, not always. I think there are times there has been oppression. There has been things. And as you're talking about right now, hey, if guys are dying in vain and it's done by the U.S. government, that flag often people associate with the country / the government, the people. I mean, there's so many different facets of the flag. And so I can understand how some people might look at it and go, it didn't serve me. Certain people in Vietnam or certain people in Afghanistan are going, doesn't feel very, very equality or whatever. But, well, just to say what you're going to say, because maybe we're going the same direction.
Yeah, I mean, no, I get what they're saying, but that flag represents more than just you. That's the thing. So for you burning that flag, you're burning for a lot of things you don't even see, you don't even understand. That's like me. I wouldn't even though I hate the Chinese, I don't want to burn their flag. Or even the Iraqis don't really care for them. But again, for what my nation flag means to me, I would assume that flag their nation flag means the same to them. So to me, the flag doesn't really represent the government, I guess is what I should say. It represents who we are. The government doesn't really, it's not really who we are. They're there to protect our Constitution. Who we are as a whole, as a nation, not just what's in DC. The DC, again, that they're just there to make sure that we stay free, nobody can attack us, and that to me, that's it. That's what our government does. Other than that flag again represents all the sacrifices that everyone has made personally, even from Fort Morgan, World War I, World War II, even in Vietnam. Again, we went there to try to free other people things went bad. Korea, same thing, went there to help the South Koreans. The first Gulf War, we got involved to help move Saddam out of Kuwait. And then, Afghanistan, the only reason why we went to Afghanistan is because the Taliban wouldn't turn over the Al-Qaeda. And then we went, now the only one, the biggest one that is a 100% lie was the second Gulf War, going into because of the WMDs. But again, it's the sacrifices, not our government. It's the sacrifices that the people made going into those situations, regardless if they're held by lies or truths or whatever. But that's why, to me, you burning that flag, you're pretty much disgracing everyone who's ever stood for that flag and died for that flag because of what it represents. Again, it's more about the freedoms that this nation offers than any other nation in the world, including religion.
Yes. So do you see the flag then as inclusive, any color, any religion?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it always has been.
Yep. That's where I think a lot of people over critique the white male military soldier who talks about the flag the way that you do with passion. And, it comes from here, it comes from your soul. Being on the battleground and seeing, shoulder to shoulder, you're fighting with guys. The story that we're going to get into about Benghazi to me really speaks to the heart of, I think, what you're talking about, which I've always associated with the flag. I grew up with a grandfather who was always very respectful. He's very patriotic. He taught me to shake a veteran's hand. Thank you for your service. Look him in the eye, etc. And so I've always had a admiration and a affinity for the flag and just the deep value of what it represents, because no other country has that. They really don't. So in all of history, which is really mind-boggling, and it really needs us to be aware as in my opinion, as citizens, to uphold that standard and to uphold that value and to push back when people start to encroach and say, no, it means this and this and this. Yes, there are stains on our culture, in our history, but if that flag doesn't represent it, then what does?
Yeah. I mean, so our country always stays the same. It's our government changes every 4 years. Again, that's that flag will always stand for what it stands for. Again, that's why to me the government itself doesn't stand for the flag. We the people stand for the flag. That's what I mean by, because it changes every 4 years. New administration, new bullcrap, whether you agree with it or not. It's something that's so. That's again, I don't see it as I don't look at that flag and think of George Washington. I'm looking at that flag. Well, kind of do, because that's a little bit different. Yeah. But, I don't see it as Ronald Reagan or Obama or Biden or Trump. That's not how I see it. I see it as the guys who actually laid their life down the line and actually fought for our country, sacrificed everything they had to, even to stand up against the British, So that's why I kind of think of George Washington as a flag, because he literally sacrificed everything he owned, along with our other founders. A lot of them died, over that. So that, to me, the beginning's a little bit different. Other presidents, that's not what I see. Yeah. But you want to sit there and, well, not you, but people want to sit there and burn the flag because of what happened in Afghanistan. So what you're doing, you're just shitting on every vet that's ever died over there. Every American contractor's died over there. Even every Afghani that believed what we believed in died over there. So it's not just, I don't think people really think it through what they're really burning and destroying when they do it. Even just like the vet recently, when Trump signed, you desecrate the flag, you spend a year in jail. I agree. Because if I go and burn a pride flag, I'm going to jail for hate speech.
Yeah, that's what's so ironic.
So you know what? No, I'm not. Right. To me, you should go to jail if you burn the American flag.
What about freedom of speech? Do we have the right to burn a pride flag? Do we have a right to burn an American flag? Do we have a right to do that and say?
So that is a tough one. But again, it goes back to like, if you really want to burn the flag of the country you're in, you should get the hell out. That's again because it represents the pride flag. That's just sex. Burn the damn thing. I really don't care. Yeah. That represents just people having sex with whatever they want to have sex with. That's all that is. That's how I see it. Yeah. So I really don't freaking care about that. Yeah. That's even like burning the state flag. I think it's stupid. If you can't have pride in the place that you live and the place that represents you, get the hell out. If you hate it that much to where, again, you got to desecrate it or you can't even pledge allegiance to it, go. We're losing a lot of the patriotism and the willing to fight for our country when it's going to be needed.
Yeah, which feels like it's closer and closer every day. Let's switch gears a little bit into Benghazi. Let's give a quick overview of the battle and the controversy, and then we can kind of dive in a little bit.
There was controversy?
Yeah, I don't know if you're aware of this.
I didn't know about this controversy thing.
Yeah, believe it or not. Just a couple things. For those that are just getting caught up with Benghazi, it's in Libya. Benghazi is a city in Libya. It is a eastern city on the coast of the Mediterranean in Libya. There's another city, Tripoli. Those are the two primary cities in Libya over in northern Africa. And the U.S. had a consulate building there. And then about a mile away, the CIA had what's called the annex. Yeah. Two separate buildings, two separate compounds, two separate leadership positions. Mm-hmm. The consulate was led by Ambassador Stevens, and then the CIA base was led by Bob, who we know.
That's his real name.
Is it real name?
Yeah.
Okay. And then each compound had its own security team.
Yep.
There was the DS, which is the diplomatic security for the consulate, and then there was you guys, the GRS, that was the security for the annex.
Yep.
These are two separate operations, correct? Mm-hmm. So, yes, you're both right next to each other, but you had different objectives in the area, correct?
Pretty much, we always do.
Roughly. So walk us through a bit of the overview of the battle. What happened? You guys were on the contracting / agency side at the annex. You heard some gunshots, right? Yep. This is about at what time on September 11th, 2012?
Yeah. So the short version is, 9/11, 2012. Our team leader got a phone call roughly between 9:30, 9:40 that the consulate had been overrun.
And to be clear, the team leader is the team leader of the GRS.
Yeah, team leader GRS. His name is Hush. And then, so if you saw the movie, that's not Roan. Roan wasn't the team leader. I know because they took out the team leader in the movie.
Okay.
So Hush, when he got the phone call, they'd been overrun. Not that they're being attacked, not that there was a protest, they've been overrun. So we got ready to go. And Tonto told Bob we're ready to roll. That's when we got the first wait. It was probably about 5 minutes into it after we got the call. And we got told to wait. Okay, okay, we get it. Maybe because we're thinking 17th Feb Martyrs Brigade, which was the quick reaction force for the consulate in case they got attacked, they would show up, in force.
Let me explain that just real quick, because that was confusing to me when I first heard this. Yep. 17th Feb is a
militia,
a local militia in Benghazi.
Yep.
And they were really more anti-Gaddafi, is that right?
Yeah, just anti-Gaddafi.
Okay. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So because the U.S. had come in, and Hillary Clinton famously saying we came in, what was it? We came, we saw, he's dead or something like that. I forget.
Yeah, probably.
So the U.S. took out Gaddafi, and because of that, there was certain local militia.
Well, the locals actually took out Gaddafi.
Okay.
So the locals found him. I was there when they found him. They had a team that went down there, tried to get him to rescue him pretty much from them.
Oh, really?
Oh, no, the locals did him in.
Oh, I saw some of the video.
It was gnarly.
Yeah, he got sodomized.
Oh, yeah. Not in a good way.
Not in a good way.
I mean, I don't know if it was in a good way, but holy crap, they did him in good. So it wasn't the U.S. We actually tried to save his life.
Oh, I thought he was handed over to the locals.
No.
Okay.
Well, after he was dead.
Okay.
No, they whacked him quick.
Who took responsibility for that?
The locals.
Not even the militia, just the average everyday people.
Yeah.
They overran him?
They hated him, yeah.
Okay. So, and to the point where when he was taken out, weren't there a lot of locals that were actually waving American flags?
I don't think I ever really saw American flags, maybe on TV or something, because we didn't really do anything. We provided air cover. NATO did. That was it. Just so he wouldn't use his air force on the civilians.
Oh, I always thought because of Hillary, we came in, we conquered.
Guns blazing. No.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that. No, It was just air assets. We didn't really attack anything. I think not really us, but I think NATO may have hit a couple of his tanks before.
Okay.
Because they're just discriminately just killing civilians that weren't even involved in the whole thing.
Okay.
But even then, I don't really think that. But no, we never launched our own attacks against him.
Gotcha. So one of the militias, the local militias called 17 Feb, which was called that because
that's when that started in Benghazi on 17 Feb.
The
February
movement
17th.
to throw out Gaddafi. So 17 Feb was this local militia that was somewhat allied with U.S. Personnel over there because we both were sort of anti-Gaddafi.
Yeah.
One of the important pieces that came out of his overthrow was the mass amounts of weapons caches that were around that then were raided by the local militias and were
he
kind
just
of
left it all open. I think he even opened the prisons up.
Okay. That'll become important to some of the questions that I have in a bit. But so when you guys heard gunshots going at the annex about a mile away, give or take, Hush tells you guys to get ready. You're getting ready. Then you're told
to wait first.
To wait by
Bob.
Head chief of base of the agency. Then what happened?
So I'm just sitting in the back of the car, going over my weapon system, function checking. Time starts going by, and I get out, and I can't remember if they were at this time if they were lighting the building on fire. I think they might have been lighting 17 Feb's building on fire because they had their own house there.
In the compound. In the consulate compound.
That way, they had guys that stayed there overnight and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I get out of the car and I yell and say, hey, we need to get over there now. We're losing initiative. They're digging in. It's going to be harder for us to overtake the compound. That's when Bob looks at me and says, stand down. You need to wait.
Literally said the word stand down.
Yep. Literally said the word stand down.
And do we know if he got that order from somebody else? Or
No,
that came from him?
That's him. That's just who he was. I mean, there was a time, anybody can research this, the British ambassador got attacked after they had pulled their consulate out because of the threats. But he was coming down from Tripoli using the U.S. consulate to do missions out of. Well, one of those missions on the way back, he got attacked. And they had we had liaisons with them because, again, we knew what we were doing, and we always had the personnel to come help if we had to. Well, they got hit by an RPG. One of their guys was badly injured, was bleeding out, and they were in a major firefight. Bob told the team leader at that time, no, you guys ain't going. And the team leader at that time had more balls and told Bob to shut the hell up, and they left. And they're the reason why that ambassador and the team survived.
Well, that's an important detail because some critics look at the Benghazi controversy and they say, this is like a one-off stand-down order that came all the way from the top from Hillary, per se, who was Secretary of State at the time. But this really demonstrates a pattern of behavior that he just was anti-GRS or something.
He's just anti-helping people. He didn't want to save lives. He wants people to die. But, even when the consulate was attacked the second time, we got told to stand down. I was there that night, too. And I was I was the guy who woke everyone up, getting ready to roll out. And we told him, nope, stand down. You're not going. So, and then even in the movie, we have another part where Bob tells the GRS team to stand down to go and help Roan and Jack that were held by the checkpoint. Again, that's who Bob was. I mean, he did it all the time. Okay. All the time.
Well, that's an interesting detail because to me, it demonstrates that's just, he just had an issue with you guys for some reason.
Yeah.
That happened over time. When going back to that British one that he told our guys to stand down on that one, where was that? Was that in Benghazi?
Yeah, it was in Benghazi.
Okay.
I used to know the exact location because they always kind of went this one way, and it was a nasty checkpoint. It was kind of like an S kind of a section. It was like just a back, kind of almost like a back alley, and they got hit right, and they turned the corner, and it was just a bad location.
As they were leaving the consulate?
When they were coming back from their meeting.
To the consulate?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know about how far away?
No.
Okay. So you're told to stand down.
Yep. Yeah, that's when I kind of get in a little argument with them. Then Hush says, Tig, just get back in the car. So we sat there and we waited, and then a radio call came over, said, if you guys don't get here now, we're all going to die. And that's when we started. Nobody talked. We just left. Hush got on the radio, says, stand by, I'm coming. So we had to wait for him. We were leaving without him.
this to me is one of those issues that I think of when I think of the American flag, because did you guys have to go?
Nope.
Didn't have to go. Wasn't your job to go.
Nope.
They had a security team, but you went anyway. Why did you go?
Americans were in need. I mean, I would just say people were in need, really. But, you know, it made it a little bit more because other fellow Americans, and we always told them, you know, even like since 2011, anything happens, we're going to come and help if we can.
And then what happened when you rolled up?
We get there. There was an engagement going on. We don't know who the militia. I think Sarah knows, but she was a targeter there. But there was 3 militiamen that were engaging with I guess the attackers that were at the consulate. I moved up to the wall where they're kind of on the opposite side, and I could see about a dozen flashes shooting back. So I get on the grenade launcher, launched 3 rounds, stopped the attack, went back to the vehicle, got my the belt-fed machine gun, myself, Rowan, and Jack started moving down the road to the consulate.
Okay.
So we sat at the annex for 30 minutes. It took us about another 30 minutes to move, pretty much when we left the compound to get onto the consulate compound. You get on there, you got the 17 Feb building's completely engulfed. The main villa, which is where the ambassador stays, is completely engulfed in flames. And we found out, Rowan actually knew before I did, but they had no idea where the ambassador was. So he had 5 security personnel to protect one guy, and they lost him. They didn't know where he was. Weren't for sure if he was inside the building, kidnapped. They had no clue whatsoever. So did what we could. We were searching for him. Came to one point where our team leader got everyone rounded up. The State Department guys rounded up and getting them into the vehicle, getting ready to leave. I got them ready. I said, hey, I'm going to go in one more time. So I just took my gear off and actually went in and got on my belly. And I was probably about 6 inches from the floor. You could actually see.
Because there was so much smoke.
Yeah. I mean, it was thick, black, solid, because they use diesel fuel to start it.
Okay.
And they also, people don't realize they use diesel fuel to thin out the paint. So all the walls with the paint and stuff, it's all diesel.
Oh,
so it made it even worse.
It's big.
Yeah. So it was pretty bad. But I went in, was searching around, went into the third room, searched around. As I came out, came back out, we got counter assaulted. So I jumped. I could see where the door was where I came in from. So I jumped up, just ran that way, got out, checked around the corner to see where the fight was coming from. Ended up coming from the back gate. Got my gear on, went up on the roof, informed everyone I was up on the roof just in case I got shot. Didn't try to figure out where I was or something. And as I went towards the back gate, as I came up over the wall, the guy with an RPG is what he was doing. He'd come in view, shoot the RPG, run back out, reload, come back and shoot. So he was popping back into view as I came over the top, and I launched right about a 10, 15 round volley of fire. I saw him drop, and then the fire stopped. What kind of irritates me about this portion of it is when we called it a counter assault. When the counter assault started, the State Department guys were loaded up in their vehicle or getting ready to, and Tonto actually went behind it to get cover and started engaging with the enemy. So instead of these 5 guys jumping out of their vehicle to help us defend their compound, they honked the horn so Tonto would move so they could take off.
Unreal.
I mean, it is what it is, but it's not, because it's just like, again, like one of those things, like when I was telling you, you don't know what people are going to do until you're in that situation. Like, honestly, initially I would have trusted them to fight with us.
Yeah.
After that.
What background did these guys have? Were they military guys?
The only one I really know, no, not all of them were military. I think maybe 3 of the guys were military. Dave Ubin, he's the only one I really knew. He was Army. Okay. But I don't know what his military background was. Yeah. We never really had a chance to talk to him. A couple of the guys prior to that, I knew were all like infantry, rangers and stuff like that. But I
mean, that's surprising that they would want to get out of there, especially while you guys are still engaging.
It's their compound.
Yeah.
I'll say the team leader and the assistant team leader, I think neither one of them were military.
Oh, that's wild. I mean, is it possible that, are you ever in a situation when you're engaging, but you also have a vehicle to leave, and you're good. It's not like you're going to stay there overnight. You're trying to get the hell out
but
of there.
if I got guys, I'm not taking off.
Right. How do you get out? When do you know when to leave? I'm ignorant on this stuff, so I don't even know.
I would say like Vietnam, they did when they were going to evacuate a base and they had to do a helicopter, evacuation under fire.
Mm-hmm.
You just try to get people out as you can, but you want to still keep as many people back as you can. But in that situation, you just wait till it's over.
Well, and it's not like they were sitting there going, "Come on, get in, let's go." It was Hong Kong, get out of the way.
Let us take off.
And they just left.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. So what goes through your head when you see them take off?
I didn't know it. I didn't know it till after everything was over.
Oh, man.
I had no idea.
The vehicle that you guys, was that the vehicle you guys came in, or did you come in a different vehicle?
So the vehicle that myself, Roan and Jack came in, got left behind, and the vehicle that the other team came in drove onto the compound after we had cleared it.
Okay.
So when we're up on the roof, we all came up there. The team leader and the linguist were just down by the safe room with, again, probably 24 unknown people. No idea who they were. We got the radio call from the drone. The drone was overhead. I think it got there just about midnight. They said, something like that. But they said there was about 150 people moving towards us from the east. So it's kind of like one of those things like, okay, what are we going to do? I think it wasn't my decision, which is fine, but I think it kind of, Roan and Hush were kind of talking a little bit, and they kind of decided, like, we had no idea where the ambassador was. If we had known he was inside, we probably would have stayed. Well, I can't guarantee it, but again, you still got 150. Most likely he's dead because I shouted for his name, no answer. So but anyways, we had to make the decision and we left.
During that time though, you'd also found Sean.
Yeah.
Sean was a communications guy for the State Department.
Yep.
And he had passed due to smoke inhalation. Yep. So you took his body with you?
Yeah, he ended up being in the vehicle with us instead of the State Department.
Okay. So you get back to the annex. Did you have to engage anybody on your way back to the annex?
No, we thought about it. Not really thought about engaging, but the vehicle that I put the grenade launcher back in, because I didn't lose the grenade launcher if you watched the movie. Just make sure you all know that. I had no sling for it, so I couldn't carry it. So when we drove back, there was probably about 24 people around in that area, plus like another 2 gun trucks or something like that. No idea who they were. So instead of us breaking seal, we just kept driving.
Okay. So you get back to the annex. The total number of people that were there is classified, but the movie showed that there was a good amount of case officers that were there, agency people that were there. And how many people to defend it?
Well, honestly, it was only really the most 4 at a time defending it.
So 4 people.
But we had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, technically kind of 7 guys total, because I'll include Dave Ubin because he got injured. Okay. But none of the State Department guys, from I've been told, never even fired a shot all night.
Wow. So you had guys that were available. Yeah. But only 4 kind of.
Well, yeah, because it was just, it's not it was just the angles too. Because, like they could have shot from over our heads, but we didn't really need them to. So they didn't really fire they got to watch the firefight. I'd rather be doing that than pulling the trigger. That's actually cooler.
were they out there armed though? And
oh yeah, they're up on them. So we were in I'm just saying, like me and Oz were in the tower, but we had like building 3 was pretty much directly behind us. So in the way the attackers were coming in, if they were been firing, they've been firing directly over our head, and any kind of mishap, could potentially, just because the angle going down, could have tagged one of us in the back.
Gotcha.
So they just got to watch a good fireworks show.
Okay. So for those that haven't seen the movie, the CIA annex was a compound that was being leased, I think, by a wealthy individual that had. So there's a giant wall around the whole compound, and then there's 4 individual
major villas.
Villas.
I want to say they're like 3,000 square foot villas.
Okay.
They're pretty good size.
Yeah, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, it was nice.
And so you had a guy on each villa, is that, if I remember?
So we had 2 on building 2, then 2 on 3, 2 on 4, and then nobody was on 1 for a while because we had local guard force in the 2 of the front towers, which were building 1 was.
Okay. How long was it between when you guys got back to the annex to when the next wave was starting to hit?
It felt like hours.
Okay. So
it was about an hour.
Okay.
But it felt forever.
Okay. What is that like to just be sitting there?
Oh, dude, you got the adrenaline pumping, then you start, it was pumping pretty hard.
Right.
Then, you start going down, then spikes right back up.
Right.
You're just like, it's draining. It really is.
I can imagine. Is that part of your training? To have these intense highs and then
I mean, that's why they would do like a lot of surprise attacks on your defensive positions and stuff. I think that's kind of part of it. We weren't told, but I'm kind of thinking that's probably the mindset.
Yeah. I'd imagine your nervous system, or there's
it was one time
tapped.
We did a patrol, and I think we got in about 2 a.m. We had to dig a fighting position that just kind of sunk us in a little bit. And I think I was asleep probably for like 25, 30 minutes. So I was like in that rim, dude, and they did attack, dude. And I remember waking up and I'm thinking, where the hell am I? I mean, I was clueless for about 10, 20 seconds. I'm hearing gunfire. I'm like, what the hell's, oh crap.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's one of those things is just like, holy crap.
Yeah.
But, it was about an hour and a half. But I think, I also found out when we got back and stuff just prior to the attack happening, I was talking with Hush on the front porch that the team from Tripoli were on their way. They'd commandeered a jet. They're going to come down and either they were going to, try to see if go to the consulate, locate the ambassador, or they're going to come and reinforce us.
Okay.
At the time, nobody really knew because nobody knew where the ambassador was. As I was talking with him, Tonto was asking for some night vision. Oz was asking for some water. So I went and got the stuff. I gave Tonto the night vision. I was walking over towards the tower to give Oz some water to when we got attacked. I had something explode about 25 feet or so away from me. Nothing hit me. Ran up in the tower, started engaging. I think that's when the first firefight is when I got slapped in the side. It hurt. But if you saw the movie, I didn't lay down on the ground for 30 minutes. Kind of buckled me a little bit. I got hit in the side, not the chest. And I just kind of felt my hand filling for a hole. There was no hole, so I just got back in the fight.
What was it, do you know?
It was a 7.62.
What's that?
A round. Out of an AK round.
And did you have armor there or no?
Yeah.
Okay. So
luckily.
Yeah. Good Lord.
Again, the firefight probably lasted maybe 5-10 minutes to 3 hours. I don't know. It felt like forever.
Right.
And again, like the wait feels forever, the firefight feels forever, but it just never really is.
And explain to the listener how many guys were out there that were coming at you.
I broke my night vision goggles, so I was kind of shooting blind in a way. So I think they're probably about maybe 20 to 30 guys. Maybe it's hard to really say.
Okay.
Because we didn't have the drone was there, but it wasn't watching us. It was pretty much kind of keep an eye on the crowd over at the consulate because there's a crap ton of people there. We were making sure that they didn't move from there to us,
right,
is what they were doing. So the drone didn't even know we were being attacked at all that night.
Yeah, that's interesting. And really quickly, the people that were gathering around the consulate, a mix of locals, militias, anybody and everybody.
Yeah,
okay.
Everybody and everybody. I mean, they were looting. They were stealing the Xboxes and TVs and everything. So when that attack had stopped, the time we were just kind of sitting there waiting, kind of talking. I was kind of explaining to Oz what happened over at the consulate, and the staffers were going to their rooms and getting their, their essential stuff like their wedding rings and wallet and, their linen, their toiletries.
Mm-hmm.
Once they were done, I went over to Hush. I got off the tower, went over to Hush, said, hey, we got to do the same thing. We got to rotate ourselves so we can get our computers and all that crap in case we evacuate.
Mm-hmm.
We have our stuff ready.
Mm-hmm.
So I went, got my stuff, came back, put it on the couch, came back, started talking with them again. That's when I found out that they had actually located the ambassador. They found him about 1 a.m. They found him inside the safe room area. And, but when they pulled him out, they had no idea who he was.
They being the locals?
Yeah, the locals.
Was a neighbor, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
the neighbor saw who it was. So, the attackers, it was planned. They had been planning it for months. But I think when they saw the ambassador was going to be there, I don't think they really knew who he was, what he looked like per se. But I think they decided to do the attack that night just to try to capture him. I think it was a potential kidnapping, but the fact that it wasn't a planned kidnapping is the reason why I believe that is because if they really wanted to kidnap him, they would have been there and waiting, just kind of searching and all this. Maybe they thought we still had him, but you think they'd still go back and try to find information, whatever they're trying to find. And when they grabbed him out, you think they would have known who he was immediately.
Right.
So that's why I don't think it was a planned kidnapping.
It's my understanding. So Sarah Adams is a CIA targeter, which is basically somebody that paints a target on somebody and orders a hit. Yeah.
She doesn't personally whack them.
Right. She's just the targeter.
Yeah.
But she was actually in Libya the night of September 11th, but she was not in Benghazi, right?
No, she wasn't in Libya. She was there that morning, but then she flew out somewhere else.
That's what I meant. So, but I think she was still in Libya.
No,
maybe she.
I don't think so.
But
because she wasn't in Tripoli. She came into Tripoli. She was supposed to come back, I think, like the next day.
Okay.
So it was just like a quick round trip for something.
Okay. So somebody who knows the area, knows the environment, knows some of the people there. She was then, after all of this went down, was asked by Trey Gowdy to be on the Benghazi Select Committee to really find out, turn every rock over, figure out what happened, what was going on. And she was the one that ultimately reported that the attack was a intentional attack I believe was ordered by Al-Qaeda, the number one, I forget his name off the top of my head.
Yeah, it was like 6 Al-Qaeda organizations.
After bin Laden was taken out, this guy became the number one guy. And it's my understanding that he was the guy that basically ordered. And it's my understanding that Sarah said that it was a kidnapping so that they could do a prisoner swap. So it sounded like she thought,
or whatever.
Yes, exactly. So therefore, I mean, that would lead me to believe that they were hoping, I think, to get the ambassador. So
yeah, but the thing is, like, how would they know the ambassador would ever even come down there?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's the thing. Like, he was never down there. After they moved up to Tripoli, he never came back down there until that point. But again, I'm not a targeter, so she knows more.
Well, Sarah, if you're listening, I'd love to have you on the podcast. We can get your take on it. But this is where another weird controversy happens because not too soon after this whole thing started to happen in real time, was it, I think, Obama that initially came out? Was it Obama or was it Hillary? Or I forget who it said that that this was the result of a protest against a video.
Yeah, I think it was
anti-Islamic.
That came out like immediately.
Right. So for some reason, the White House is now putting out a narrative that says that this attack on the consulate was due to frustrations from a video, an anti-Islamic video, and they were just seeking targets of opportunity and hit the consulate, which just doesn't make much sense to me. There's not a lot of evidence to support that. In fact, Sarah said at the time on September 11th, I think the video had 100,000 views, which is not exactly a viral video.
Yeah.
And even like a week or two after, it was still at like maybe 1 million, which is, again, not the type of...
And it got that much because of Hillary.
Exactly. After she mentioned, and then everybody was going to watch.
Hey, what's this video?
So that's weird. We'll get back to that in a second, but let's go back to the battle.
So then also, found the ambassador, found out this is about 3 a.m, and that the team from Tripoli had landed in at the airport. And about this time, the second assault started. RPG kind of flew over the back gate. Again, I'm stalking on the front porch with Hush. Immediately ran over, get next to Oz again, get back in the fight.
Is this the first RPG at the annex?
No, this is like the second or third.
Okay. So you knew
they missed them all. Okay. Everyone. I don't know who they killed, but it wasn't us.
Okay.
They just shot. Every one of them shot high.
Okay.
So, we repelled that assault. They pretty much blew every camera out. That last attack shot every single of the cameras out on our side.
Okay.
it ended. Oz, I told Oz, hey, go get your stuff just in case we got to evacuate out of this compound, which we probably were going to. It's kind of what our mindset was. So he took off. Now I'm in the tower by myself. And again, just time's just ticking so slow. It's just like tick, tick, tick. Hours go by. Finally get word, hey, the team from Tripoli's on its way. Tonto moved from building 2 to building 1 and used his laser to lasso. So like when they said, oh, we were lasering targets, no, I mean, I lasered 2 individuals that were walking towards us from the zombie land, but it wasn't to target them. It was to let them know, hey, we see you, go somewhere else.
So, okay. To be clear, can they see the lasers?
Yeah. So we have 2 different, we have infrared and then regular laser. So you can toggle 2 modes. So I made sure they could see it.
Okay. So that was visible to the naked eye, but the
Tonto's wasn't. It was IR.
Okay. So for those that are listening, you have night vision goggles that can see the infrared. Enemy can't see it. So you guys would paint a target or lasso a target so that you knew who, hey, I got this guy, you got this guy.
You could. Yeah.
Okay. So,
but he was doing it the lasso to kind of, he was just shot in the air. So, I mean, they had our grid coordinates, but again, sometimes the compounds are so tight.
Right.
Just made sure that they knew exactly where to get into.
Right. In the movie, I guess it showed, so the team from Tripoli's coming from the airport, they're a little bit lost.
Yeah.
And then Tonto lassos his laser up in the sky so they could see, that's okay. Let's go over there.
So they pull up. You're looking about 5:30 in the morning now. So about 2.5 hours since the last attack. They all get out of the vehicles. I think it was like 5 militia vehicles, just like sedans or whatever, 4-door cars. They all get out, including their commander. They walk into our command post. Glenn Doherty or Bub is the only one who left the building, and he wanted, I guess, to go talk with Roan or whatever, figure out what's going on. He goes up on the roof. Roan's introducing him to Dave Ubin and Oz, and probably telling him kind of what happened over at the consulate, what's happened kind of since, is my guess. And as I'm sitting in my mind, I'm also thinking, they've been there for a few minutes. Why the hell ain't they coming out to kind of relieve us? Get us off the tower, get us off the roof, let us kind of take a breather for a minute. And that's kind of what I was kind of thinking. And then next thing you know, I hear what sounds like a mortar being launched. So if you don't know, obviously if you watch the movies, right next to it's really loud. Other than that, just it's like a thump sound. It's louder than that because you can hear it from a distance. So I thought I heard it, getting ready to go on the radio as Tonto clicks it because he's actually closer to it because he's on building 1. He clicks the radio. He wants to hear that sound like a mortar. As I'm keying the radio saying, I heard it, 1 hits. And it hit probably about 25 yards short or long. And then 25 yards to the west. So 25 and 25. Still a pretty good shot. At the same time, the round hit, RPG took off, towards our back wall, hit the wall, small arms fire. That's when Roan and Oz started engaging from right there. And then I heard another one go off. It hit the back of the wall right behind the building 3, which ended up taking Dave Ubin out. He had a bunch of shrapnel in the head. And then I heard another one. And from my point of view, it looked like it was being walked towards my tower. Because I'm thinking, they would keep trying to come at this side and they want to blow that tower up so they can get into us a lot easier. So I jumped out of the tower, started moving back. I got to where we call it the prison gym or the gym, and the mortar hit the top of the roof. And then 2 more followed almost instantly. And it just went completely quiet. There was like no more gunfire. I mean, not even like a little pop. I mean, it was just quiet. Immediately get on the radio, say, you guys on top of building 3, you good? The team leader inside gets on the radio, says, no, we're all good in here. I told him to shut the hell up. I'm talking about the guys on top of the building.
Well, glad you're okay inside while we're out here taking mortars.
And so Jack, obviously he's listening to the conversation. He gets on the radio and says, hey, Tig, I see no movement. Because for his position, he'd be able to pretty much see in top, he'd be able to see kind of movement anyways. So I immediately started running over there, start going up the ladder. And again, the small arms fire was coming from the back gate. So once I started getting to where I was getting ready to go above the wall, I started checking my 6, make sure I didn't get shot in the back, jump over, First guy I see is off to the left-hand side. His left leg, left arm almost completely severed off. I get on the radio. I said, hey, I got guys down. I need help. I started talking to him. He had his pistol out, kind of pointed towards me, grabbed the pistol from him, take it away, talking to him, taking my go bag off, start going through it. It actually wasn't mine. It was actually Oz's go bag. So trying to find tourniquets because, he was pretty jacked up. Get 2 tourniquets, get the 2 tourniquets on him. I try to look him over again as best I could because I don't want to turn the flashlight on. I'll get that in a second. Then I get on the radio. I said, hey, I got guys down. I need help. So I get the backpack, grab the backpack, and I go to stand and start moving. Dave said, hey, give me back my pistol. I need my pistol. So, I'm a little bit nervous, in the military, especially in the Marine Corps, they tell you, you don't give somebody back their firearm if the bell's been rung. But to me, I also I'm still the only guy out there. I'm thinking about shock, try to keep him kind of comfortable, keep him thinking about something besides the pain, which I don't know how you could. So I just kind of turned my back, said, all right, give me a second. And I kind of took the backpack off like I was doing something. But I took the mag and out of the pistol, unloaded the pistol and handed the gun. Said, all right, man, I'll be right back. And I handed it to him. Again, it's just a security blanket. Plus, in case somebody jumped over, he didn't shoot him. I'm lucky he didn't shoot me, honestly.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of get up, start moving. There's one guy in the middle, one guy kind of, in the middle of just, laying flat, face down. Another guy in the fetal position, not moving. There's a guy in front of me as I'm walking, I'll say to the I guess west. Yeah, it'd be the west. Start moving that way. He's moving, end up being Oz. I get on the radio again. I say, hey, I got guys down. I need help. Nobody responded. OD gets on the radio and says, hey, if nobody's going to, get up there and help, I'm going to get off the damn roof, go do it myself. That's when the team leader finally gets on the radio and says, no, stay where you are. We're on our way. Again, not that they're coming or that they're up. They're just now leaving the building. So I'm just like, whatever. And I got the tourniquet on Oz, stood him up, got him walking. He stumbled a little bit, but it was still pretty good walking. Go to the third guy, ended up being ended up being Roan, rolled him over, did a pulse check. His throat moved, but I couldn't feel a pulse. So this is like I do a thing called look, listen, feel. That's where I had to remove his body armor, lift up his shirt, put my ear down to his mouth, trying to feel or hear a breath, and then trying to see if I could, see if his belly moved. But it was still fairly dark out. And the reason why I didn't get my flashlight out, especially on Dave Ubin or Oz, is because of spotters. So a spotter is somebody who sees the mortar impact and then calls the mortar team and tells them how to adjust. So there had to be somebody watching where the mortars hit so they could adjust and hit the building. So I waited till, the last second not really last second, but medical wise. So I got the flashlight out, did a pupil dilation, had no dilation. As I could see, he was already gone. So he was down the ladder. So that meant he was going to be coming around the corner into the command post where all the staffers were, and they're going to be yelling for Roan because Roan was our medic. So I got on the radio, just informed everybody, hey, Roan's gone. So I went over to the fourth guy and rolled him over. And initially it shocked me because it looked like kind of almost like Jack. So I was like, how the hell Jack get over here? And, just like one of those things that just happened so fast. I was like, wait a second. I just talked to him on the radio. It's not him. So did the same thing. Look, listen, feel, pupil dilation. He was gone. During the time I was treating him, I just remember I don't remember it was one of the adult. I think it was the country team leader or somebody who was just like, hey, we need to hurry up and get off the roof. We need to hurry up and get off the roof. In my mind, I'm just like, whatever, dude. It's like mortars keep coming in. There ain't a damn thing we can do about it.
Inside, outside.
The only reason why that building still stood and everybody inside wasn't dead is where the mortars hit on that house. The first one hit outside the actual roof because it kind of had the overhang. So that overhang, it just exploded a big hole out of it. The other two that hit right on top of where the walls were, the support walls inside, and they're like 1.5 feet thick, and they're all solid concrete. That's the only reason why the roof didn't collapse. So I'm just thinking to myself, like, dude, it doesn't matter, again, I'm like, whatever. So I just went and I tried to look across, trying to find all the guns and stuff, just in case we had to take off, we didn't leave at least the firearms behind. Went back over to Roan, searching his pockets and stuff like that, trying to find, got his wallet and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have his wedding ring on. But
sorry if I could ask you, were you pretty close to Roan?
For somebody it could be for 30 days.
Yeah.
Because again, didn't really know him very well. But again, you're still brother in arms.
Sure.
Still want to do what you can for him.
Of course. To me, that's one of the interesting dynamic as a contractor is you guys are fighting shoulder to shoulder, but you don't have the longevity. You don't have the history together. So in the movie, there was a part where it showed that you said a prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Is that accurate?
Yep.
And do you recall what you said?
Not verbatim right now, but it was along the lines of, watch over our fallen warrior, for he has made the ultimate sacrifice. Guide him to your side, and help your angels watch over us. None of us will fall tonight. And then watch over his families for what they're about to experience and the turmoil they're about to face.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much just guide them and help them with the most abundance of light to get back to peace. Somewhere along that line. It's pretty close to that.
Are you, is faith something that you're thinking a lot about in the back of your mind? I'm assuming when you're engaging, you're very focused on that target or that objective, but especially during those lulls, are you thinking about your family? Are you thinking about faith? What are you thinking about during those downtimes?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
I mean, normally I wouldn't really think about home at all, but I just had kids and they were 7 months old. So that was a little bit different firefight.
Yeah.
Because, it's, being married, being over there is just kind of like you kind of come to peace with it. You could die,
Mm-hmm.
It's always that potential. But when you had kids, that's when I was actually thinking about home, more about before we left and went over there to the consulate. That's when I thought we were going to all die.
Yeah.
Because, we had, 5 guys against, they said between 100, 150.
Yeah.
So like, holy crap, this is going to suck.
Yeah.
But, you do think about it, and it's just one of those things. I've always believed in God growing up. So I think I've always prayed one way or another.
So you end up letting them know that both guys had been lost.
I didn't know Bub. But I did the same thing, went over to him,
prayed over him.
Over him. You checked him for stuff. I didn't know if he had anything. He didn't have a wallet on him.
And Bub was one of the GRS guys that came in from Tripoli.
Yeah.
So he had just gotten there.
Yeah, he just showed up, fortunately.
That's right.
So I get off the roof, get down. Now I have all these weapon systems. And, as I get down, they had just got Dave Ubin down and the stretcher was coming around the corner. So when I was going in, I dumped all the weapons that I had onto the couch, went to the back, and was actually trying to roll up the gate. Because my thinking was, he was jacked up.
And sorry, who was Dave again?
He was he was the State Department security guy.
Okay.
His left arm, left leg. It was just hanging on by tendons. So I went to the back, tried to roll up so we had I guess you'd call them little blast shields or whatever, blast doors. And I was trying to roll it up, but the mortar ended up jacking it up. So I was only able to get it a quarter of the way up. So I just left it because I was trying to avoid him from coming in through the main living area where everyone was. But anyway, so I grabbed 4 more tourniquets. That was also where our medical room was too. It was on the backside. So I grabbed 4 more tourniquets, started to head back out, going back to the tower that I was in. And that's when I ran into the 2 Delta Force guys, which at the time I had no idea who they were. And they're like, "Hey, where are you headed?" I'm like, "I'm headed back over to the tower, to watch that, that sector." Like, "Oh no, they're like," I can't remember which one it was, but they're both there. But he's like, "No, you can't do that. It's too dangerous." I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about? It's too dangerous. I've been over there fighting out of it all damn night. Now it's too dangerous all of a sudden." We were yelling enough to where our team leader comes out. He's like, "What the hell's going on?" And he ended up taking their side, kind of. He's just like, just go stand right there and provide security. I'm like, this is freaking stupid. Here I am. I can't see through walls. Now we have, a quarter of, pretty much not even a quarter, about half of our defensive perimeter completely unprotected.
Mm-hmm.
No eyes on, no nothing. I'm like, this is freaking stupid. So you're looking about 6 a.m. I'm ended up standing there until, I think like during this time, one of the case officers got a hold of another separate militia that had like a 300-man trained, actually military unit is what it was. So they ended up coming in. We were told about them, so we were just kind of waiting for them to show up. And they showed up, I think, about 7:38 in the morning. Again, I'm still standing there like, this is about the dumbest thing ever, right? And so the 2 Delta Force guys, they come, again, at the time, I didn't know who they were. They come around the corner and said, hey, we're going to get Roan up. We're going to get the guys off the roof. We need you to provide security. So I'm like, okay, cool. And I go, we have the tow strap that we use to pull a tire around. We can, wrap it around the guys and lower them down. And they're like, God, don't worry about it. We got this. So I'm just kind of still walking in front of them. I go climb up the ladder. Like, hey, no, just stay down here, provide security. I'm like, this is stupid. Because again, I can't see through walls. I can't provide security. What am I? So I'm just like, this is pretty dumb. And I'm pretty much right next to the ladder. They get up on the roof about a minute later. Next, I see a body get put up on top of the wall that's up there. And you're looking about 25, 30 feet. And next thing you know, they shove him off. It wasn't like lower him down gently. I mean, it was just a push. He falls. He smacks the slab of marble right next to me. And you can hear him, the shoulder hit, the head crunching. I mean, it's a gnarly sound. And then, that one kind of was a shocker, but the other one, now it's coming. I should have just left, but I'm just sitting like, you got to be freaking kidding me, man. Again, people got to realize, I get that you do that if you have to get out of there.
Yeah.
I understand that. But when there's no gunfire going on, there's no major rush going on anymore. We just had a 300-man military show up.
This was after they showed up.
Wow. Surrounding our compound, making sure we're secure. They got the outer perimeter even more secure. So it's just like there was no reason. Well, we had time.
Yeah.
And so, one of the other guys came around the corner, I grabbed Bub's arms. He grabbed his legs. We walked around, we get him on the flatbed. We just kind of get up and get ready to evac. Everybody else has got these, $500,000 sedans. We got a $20,000 flatbed, me and Jack, with, Roan and Bub in the back. This thing is not keeping up.
Yeah.
We're driving through, instead of going the back way, which I get it. And that's where like Ansar al-Sharia, that was like their main checkpoint was on that backside. So we're just kind of, everybody's hauling ass through the main city, which is still pretty quiet. Look, it's still about 8 o'clock in the morning. People are starting to move around. But, we could not keep up. By the time we get on the main road, everybody's just, they're gone. And we're just floored. I've got it floored. Just like, oh. You got the militia kind of looking at us. They're kind of like this. They're like going. I'm like, I'm stomping it.
Yeah.
So we get to the airport, and I guess there was almost a firefight at the airport because the militia that was controlling the airport didn't like the militia that we were using. So there was a little bit of standoff. Well, the militia that rescued us from the annex to get to the airport was Gaddafi's military.
That's very ironic.
So we get in there, we get to the plane where Bub came from. The State Department, they're getting all their electronic stuff on there. We're getting all the electronic stuff on there. I walk on because my side is still killing me where I got shot, So I kind of take it off. I finally lift up my shirt and I'm looking at it. It's just solid black, purple. Oh. It's gnarly.
Yeah.
So I take off my body armor because I'm thinking we're all taking off, right? So we're just loading things. So I'm not really thinking about it. I still have my weapon with me, just not the body armor. Because, it was just that rubbing was just killing me.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, next thing you know, like, oh, we're not leaving. We're going to be staying here. I'm like, shit, my body. And I was like, whatever, man. I just left it.
Wait, why did you need to stay?
Oh, that was just my body. I was like crapping on my body's arms. And I was like, whatever. I don't even care anymore.
Right.
We're at the airport. I'm feeling pretty secure. If it happens again, we're not getting out of here.
Right.
So Oz, I'm like So I'm like standing there, and Oz is coming up, and again, there's a stewardess that was on the plane. It was a nice plane.
Yeah.
And at least I got to see it.
Some billionaire's jet that flew the Tripoli guys.
3 of them.
Okay.
Yeah, and her eyes just get huge. She takes off, right, and I'm looking at Oz. Oz is looking at me, and I'm like, whatever, and I kind of go off and do my own. I forgot exactly what I was doing, but he gets up on on the bird. I don't think I was doing anything. I was just kind of like, yeah, whatever. And just, I think I was walking back over to the truck where I think I was getting ready to pull. We thought we were going to pull off Roan and Bub from that point.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened though, when he gets up on her, she comes running back with a handful of towels. And, Oz, he's kind of got, pot marks all over the place. So he's got blood dripping and stuff. And
was Oz's arm also almost got severed?
No, it was about 3/4. I mean, it wasn't as gnarly. So if you watch the movie, that's how Dave Ubben's arm and leg looked.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit worse.
But that in the movie, was that Oz's character?
Yeah.
Okay. That's where I got confused.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's where the arm, that's the character. Yeah, that was Max Martini. So they made his arm look pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah. And so Oz is like thinking, well, she's going to wrap me up. Well, no, she started covering the plane, all the furniture up.
Don't want to bloody my
employer's
plane. Yeah.
So anyways, he just goes on. They didn't get Dave Ubben up, and they get Dave Ubben on. They seal up the plane. The problem was it can't hold that much weight.
Yeah.
So that's why we had all the equipment and stuff. So anyways, as we're sitting outside, I can't remember what we were discussing, but next thing you know, the plane opens up. The pilot comes flying out of the plane. He's running up and down the fuselage of the plane. We're kind of looking like, what the hell's going on? Well, the CIA, everybody carries a firearm. There was no unarmed civilians. Everybody had a gun. Well, the pilot told everyone to unload their firearms. You should have did it on the outside of the plane.
Yeah.
Well, the maintenance guy pulled the trigger. Somehow the gun, accidentally. Well, I don't know. Yeah, he says he didn't. Somehow the gun goes off. Whatever.
Yes.
So that's what they're looking for. They're trying to figure out where the bullet went.
Make sure the plane's not damaged.
Yeah. So what happened? I mean, they're looking for it everywhere inside the plane. They're looking for holes. They had to find it right in the stud in front of them, right in the seat, the bracket where the bolt and the nut coming right there. That's where it just
miraculously just didn't puncture anything.
Yeah, it didn't ricochet. A little bit left, a little bit right. It just stopped.
That's bizarre, or maybe beyond bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of miracles happened that night.
Yeah.
So they buckled up. They take off. They took off. We don't know how we're going to get there, but they landed in Tripoli. They get straight to the hospital, and after the surgery and stuff, they told them, like, Dave Ubben, if he'd have been another 10, 15 minutes, he'd have died.
Mm.
So again, that bullet, left or right, Dave Ubben would have been dead.
Interesting.
So back in Benghazi, we're still sitting there not knowing what's going on, but the militia started taking the vehicles, so we were handing them the keys and stuff. And I just remember sitting there looking in the back of the flatbed, and I'm looking like, where's the other guy? We only got Roan and Bub. Where's the third guy at? And I'm thinking, oh, dude, they left him in the car.
Wait, which guy are you referring to?
Sean Smith.
Oh, you're kidding.
They left Sean Smith. The State Department guys left his body in the vehicle.
Oh, my gosh.
So I'm sitting looking for the vehicle, and it's pulling away. So I'm running over there, and they're like, what's going on? It's like, dude, he's got Sean Smith's body, or the other, I think I knew his name at that time, saying they got his body in the back of the car. So I'm running as fast as I can. If I had body armor, I wouldn't have caught him. But anyways, so I was able to stop him. That Delta Force guy came. We got Sean Smith's body out and took him over the flatbed, got him on the flatbed. If I had not been paying attention, dude,
they would have just drove away.
They would have drove away with Sean Smith's body.
Oh my gosh.
So then we had it wasn't the militia commander. It was somebody, I can't remember. Sarah remembers who it was. I think it was like Ministry of Interior or something like that. Came up and said, hey, I can go get Sean Smith's body, or Master Stevens' body from the hospital. So he ended up leaving, and then it took him about 45 minutes, came back. And I remember walking over there, myself, Tonto, and one of the Delta Force guys, walking over there, lifting up the sheet, looking him over, lifting up his shirt, making sure he had no incisions or, again, even checking for wounds. So, the rumors about him being shot, mutilated, and tortured, that was all bullcrap. That never happened. Again, they found him, an hour and a half after we had already left. So there's no way he was alive.
So the story is that the neighbor ended up finding him, not knowing who he was.
The neighbor did.
And the neighbor did know who he was.
Yes.
So even
the looters didn't.
The looters didn't, but he was taken to the hospital.
Yep.
Wasn't there a phone in his pocket?
Yep. That's how they got a hold of the State Department.
Okay.
I think it was Alex's phone or somebody's phone. I don't
Okay.
think it was the actual ambassador's phone.
Okay. I thought Sarah said that they didn't know who it was and they were just trying to call the phone, anybody on the contact.
Yep, they were just trying to call anybody.
The doctors, or because you said the neighbor knew who he was?
I think it was the doctors at the hospital.
Okay.
And so they were trying to figure it took them a while because, obviously just calling saying we got the ambassador. They wanted video and they wanted picture and video proof.
The CIA?
Yeah.
Okay.
To prove that it was actually him.
Okay. And then who brought him from the hospital to the airport?
I think it was the Minister of Interior or something like that. Okay. I'd have to look on my phone. I was just texting Sarah about it too because a lot of stuff with the Delta Force guys keeps coming back up.
Yeah.
But so he came, we got his body. Well, that morning we also got a threat that there's going to be attack in a local government facility, and I was with the chief of base, deputy chief, at a meeting when they were told that. So when we went over to the consulate, we told the ambassador, and he was wearing the same clothes, because obviously except for the coat, but I recognized the pants, for me, what stuck out was the fact that his feet, they were black with soot. So he didn't have a chance to put socks or shoes on. That's how fast this happened. My thing is, after watching Die Hard and him walking on the broken glass, in my mind, I'm always going to have shoes on. I am not going anywhere with that because of that. So that's kind of stuck in my mind. But anyways, so we ended up getting out of there by a Libyan C-130. It landed. It wasn't really for us. Our team leader, the country team leader, and the linguist that stayed behind went over there, talked to them. They said they'd take us home. And, we get on the plane and, that's how we got out of there. It was the Libyans themselves that rescued us.
And they flew you to Germany?
Tripoli. To
Tripoli.
Yeah. And the U.S. military flew us and the embassy staff to Germany.
To Germany. Okay. And then when did you get the pleasure of finding out that you got to pay for your way home?
It was pretty much like within 2 hours after the home. I wouldn't say the homecoming, but them coming back at Dover Air Force Base. The four, Ambassador Stevens, Sean Smith, Glenn Doherty, when they were received at Dover 2 hours later, because we had to watch it. And then after it was over, they said, hey, you guys can go home. So
after you rescued the security team of the State Department that you were not employed to do, that you weren't needing to do, after the DS fled the scene and you guys stood and fought, after you got back to the annex and continued to secure the tens of people there, 10, 20, 30 people there, we don't know. While the DS team didn't really engage, two of you not coming home, you got to pay your own way home.
Yep. It was about, I believe it was like $4,000 ticket.
And you're made of money, so I'm sure that was no big deal for you.
Right.
Right. I'm so sorry you had to deal with all that. Let alone, the guys being rolled off the wall. I know that affected you deeply. I mean, how could it not?
Oh, that out of everything I've ever experienced, that was the worst thing I've ever experienced.
Just because of the gruesomeness of it, or just the guys being
disrespectfulness of it. Yeah. I mean, it didn't need to happen. I just couldn't believe anybody could do that to a fellow American. Yeah. We sit there and we talk about how our foreign adversaries treat dead bodies and do things, but yet here now again, knowing they're Delta Force guys, supposed to be the elite of the elite, knowing what they did to fellow Americans, even somebody that they knew, but even more somebody I fought next to, and then for them to actually go and even tell the family that they got them off respectfully is a complete disgrace and smack in the face.
Yeah, I'm sorry you dealt with all that.
One of them went and actually got the ambassador's body, which ain't true. It was the Minister of Interior, I believe, is the one who went and retrieved the ambassador's body and brought him back to us.
How do you know that?
There's no way an American's going to go there, especially by himself, for one. But I remember when Jen just walking up to the vehicle, there wasn't an American that got out of the vehicle. It was myself, Tonto, and one of the other Delta Force guys that walked over there and double checked. It was the ambassador in the back. If it had been an American that went and got him, why would we even check?
Mm-hmm. Why do you think the Delta guys are saying this?
Because they're trying to get upgraded to the Medal of Honor. That's my guess.
Hmm.
So they'd rather discredit other people so they can get an award.
Do you think they're pissed by some of the stuff you said about them with the bodies that they rolled off?
They could be. I don't really care. I mean, the truth is the truth.
Right.
But, it even in congressional testimonies, from my testimony, other guys' testimonies, even third-party testimonies have been all proven that I have not lied.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to say about that?
For them, even potentially even mention the Medal of Honor does a lot of disgrace to that award.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. It just discredits all the ones who truly earned it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's something that, is extremely hard to get. And, they're supposed to, even this Medal of Honor Society is supposed to go and interview everyone that was there, part of that situation, which we never have been interviewed. None of the case officers have ever been interviewed. None of the State Department guys have been interviewed about it.
Mm-hmm.
So how can they award something where you don't actually interview the guys who were there?
Mm-hmm.
It just makes no sense.
Right. You guys did give congressional testimony about what happened, right? And I don't think anybody mentioned that there either, right? That's my knowledge.
Yeah. I mean, so in their citation, they got the second highest award, which, again, I didn't even know about it until beginning of this year. Again, I really didn't care until they started attacking me. Mm-hmm. Then I started getting more involved. But they said that they rendered aid under fire, which is not true.
What is that?
So they gave medical care under fire.
Okay. Oh, rendered aid under fire.
Yeah,
Got it.
That never happened. And then they said they escorted unarmed civilians to safety. Well, that's not true, because there was no unarmed civilians there in the first place. We were all armed. So
yeah, just perplexing why they would.
Well, Sarah, she knows more about it. I mean, she was there in Tripoli when the person writing the citation for them, who was never even in Benghazi, was writing it. So where she got the information from, or she or he, and they even called bull crap when they saw it the first time, and they still let it go.
Yeah.
You're Delta Force, you're tip of the spear. I mean, you're pretty much badasses.
Yeah.
Why you got to lie about that situation?
Yeah.
Because for me, I mean, why wouldn't I sit there and say I rendered aid under fire? Because I was the first one on the damn roof. It just makes no sense. Like, why would I lie about that?
Yeah. Head scratcher. I don't know. The name of the movie, the name of the book is 13 Hours. Obviously, it's referring to the amount of time that the battle took place.
Yeah.
It could have been called, the attack of the consulate in Benghazi or something like that. But to me, it was an interesting thing to call it 13 Hours. Do you know who came up with that name?
Honestly, I can't remember. I know we were discussing it. It might have been the actual author, David Mitchell Zukoff.
Okay.
I remember we were discussing the title. I can't remember exactly how 13 Hours came up.
Okay. Because it had occurred to me that's actually a pretty critical piece of data. If the battle took place for 13 hours, there are other people that say it was only 4 hours, or maybe they were saying it was only 4 hours of actual engaged battle, etc. But here's why, to me, in my mind, why it matters, because if it's a total of 13 hours, that's 13 hours for us to respond. There were many other assets in the area that could have been deployed and been there in a couple of hours. So there was an Italy component that could have come over. Obviously, the Tripoli guys ultimately did get there. Northern Africa, the commander, General Ham, I believe, was contacted. Apparently, he had assets to be able to, to send. And actually, it was Roan's father who I saw an interview with, and he made a good point. He said there's really only 3 people on the planet that could have told him no, and that would have been the president, Obama, Hillary, and the SecDef at the time. So that raises some interesting questions. There was another team, I think, in Spain that could have come down. It seemed like there was multiple opportunities for somebody to come in, which that leads me to then more questions of like, why this fake narrative with the video, why the stand down orders. I think at least at the local level with Bob, it sounded like that was a pattern of behavior What's that?
Yeah, pattern with Bob.
Right. And so, but still, why would he say that 17 Feb was going to handle it when I think at the time he knew that they were not, right?
Yep.
How did he know that?
So he was told like a week or two prior to anything happening that they were never going to show up. And he got a hold of them as we were getting ready to go. And they told him that they were not going to come. They were not going to show up and help, that we were on our own.
Again, why? Like, so why did he say A, that they would, and B, no to you guys?
I don't know. I mean, that would be a good thing to ask Adam Schiff, since he's the one who said that we lied about the stand down order.
Right. Even if, let's take the stand down order to the side. You still have all these assets.
Mm-hmm.
You still have 13 hours.
Yep.
Why did nobody show up?
So I like to blame needs to be where it needs to lie, right?
Right.
So I believe they got told to stand down, but for a different reason.
They being who, sorry?
Military.
Okay.
And it goes back to the CIA's leadership in Benghazi that night. So after we had rescued the State Department personnel and brought them to our compound, and after we actually had gotten attacked the first time at our compound, Hush, our team leader, actually sent a message back, because the Charleston, the medical bird, was on the runway saying, "Hey, we can fly down and meet you guys in Benghazi."
Mm-hmm.
Hush replied back, said, "We don't need you. Everything's good."
Why do you think he said that?
No, I have no idea. So when the drone was overhead, yeah, we had a drone overhead, but it wasn't watching our compound.
Mm-hmm.
And it was watching, it was keeping an eye on a bigger perimeter, a wider one away from us, mainly watching the big crowd at the consulate.
Yeah.
Making sure, because at one point they started moving towards us, but then they moved back. So they were watching that big crowd that was, attacking, it was still pretty much at the consulate. So none of the attacks were being reported on our compound.
Is that typical?
No.
I mean, in the Hillary talked about the fog of war, and
that's no fog. That's just straight dereliction of duty, honestly.
Okay.
Because 2 Americans got killed because of that.
Right.
2 Americans died because we got told to stand down. 2 Americans died because the military got told to stand down because of the lack of the leadership in our compound.
And the drone's not watching what it should be watching.
Yeah.
Was there not another drone or not another way to? I'm a little surprised that we wouldn't have the technical capabilities to see 2 compounds that were a mile apart.
Yeah, I think it was we just had the one drone and that was it.
There are some that assert that this was a cover up for covert gun trafficking. So we talked about Gaddafi being taken out, all those weapons caches being looted. Is it possible that Ambassador Stevens was there to be a liaison between some type of guns deal to Syria, which we do now know? There was a FOIA request that came out that said that a ton of weapons did end up in Syria. They didn't necessarily connect the two.
But again, with there already being, the Al-Qaeda was already planning and training for the attack, I don't think they cared about any kind of weapons bullcrap.
But that couldn't that be 2 separate issues? Al-Qaeda could still want to kidnap the ambassador.
Oh, yeah.
And why are we there in the first place? You know what I mean? Like all the other embassies left. It was almost a fallen state at that point.
I mean, somewhat. I think we were still kind of holding on with the, holding on for the fact that the election was coming. We're still starting to, again, doing what we do best, destroy other nations with the elections. Yeah. But no, they're trying to ensure that, a good election was going on. That's why the ambassadors also was down there, just trying to encourage, because I think they're more, they haven't had anything going on in like 30 years because Gaddafi. Mm-hmm. So I think they were kind of excited about it and stuff like that. We still kind of, us being there, still it kind of helped with the stabilization of the area for the most part. Mm-hmm. But again, a lot of countries, they duck and cover and run at the sight of anything also. Mm-hmm. If that's what you do all the time, if you can't stay through the fray, then the enemy's going to know all we got to do is just, drop a paperclip and they're going to take off.
Fair enough. But then why not provide with proper resources to do it?
Department again. Yeah. So anything that we asked for on the GRS side, we got. It wasn't an issue. It was the State Department. Again, that goes of that lack of accountability within the State Department and not holding people to the fire, their feet to the fire when people die. I'm sorry, but if you're in that position, you should go to freaking jail and prison if somebody gets killed because of your lack of diligence.
It's almost beyond gross incompetence.
It is.
Because there was clear security issues prior to the ambassador coming down. You guys mentioned it when you went over initially just to say hi, basically. And you're like, oh, your compound's not very secure. So that had been reported multiple times. The security team wasn't up to par. I mean, sounds like.
No.
That's what I'm getting is like, why even have a consulate there if you're not going to provide the basic security?
It's hard to say, but also the State Department adds cover for the agency as well.
Yeah.
So there's a dual partnership there. That's why we were actually looking at other compounds to coexist. Because eventually, I think within like a year, we were all going to move in together.
Too little, too late, unfortunately.
Yeah. On our count, so it was like 6 Al-Qaeda organization, again, Ansar al-Sharia, that attacked the U.S. consulate. And then it was a whole nother group that attacked our compound that was not even part of the consulate attack. And the group that attacked us was the group that the Delta Force guys got a hold of and called for transportation as they were coming down to Tripoli. So it was their kind of thinking. I don't remember the details of it, but it was like the best of two evils is kind of what they were looking at. So they got a hold of them. The reason why they got delayed is because it was intentional. The militia was waiting for the mortar team, which ended up being 17th Federalist Mortar Brigade's mortar team, which, if you remember, is the QRF for the U.S. State Department in Benghazi. So they were setting up, and when daylight was starting to come, they knew they were set up. They went to the airport, picked them up. I think it was about 5 a.m. Then drove them to our compound. Why they stopped, I don't think anybody really knows. I haven't even asked Sarah. I think it's just because the commander was in there and his team took off because his militia took off when the mortars came in. I think they went to go find the team and tell them to stop shooting because their commander was inside the building. I think that's the only reason why we might still be alive, because he screwed up. I mean, again, there's a lot of things that happened in that night were just weird. Why not be a kidnapping if they knew the ambassador was there? Because, he pretty much announced it the first day he got there. I mean, it was quiet till he got there. Even if they weren't preparing for it, I honestly thought, because I think the September 13th is when we're going to be at a public location that was pre-known. And that's when we thought we were going to get attacked. But, I don't know, unfortunately, it happened at the consulate instead. But why they let him go, why they did not provide more security. Again, they always say, they want to blame it on the budget. They want to blame it on Republicans. You can always allocate money when you need it. You can do anything you need, because again, you're going to tell me that you didn't plan on wasting millions of dollars on jet fuel, helicopter fuel by sending people our way. Why can't you just budget for that? You weren't planning on that budget, but you could do it anyway. So this whole budget thing to me is just bull crap.
I agree.
It really is.
I agree.
They could have provided security. Why they really didn't. People say, well, it's an inside job. Maybe. I don't really know.
Yeah.
We may never know, just like JFK. It took us 50 years. We all kind of assumed, but now we know.
Yeah.
It could be one of those other things. In 50 years, maybe we'll finally really know the truth. But even if it happened because of arms deal, guns, honestly, I think it just had to do with the fact that we had an American flag in the compound. That's it. I don't think it really had to do anything with any kind of arms deal or anything because they attack our locations across the world.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it could just be
it was religious. A soft, easy target. Now, for the other portion of it, you're kind of talking about the video. So you had the embassy in Cairo, which is only about 8 hours away from not that far. Okay. But still 8 hours, even if it was 8 hours prior, but I think it was still only 8 hours away from where we were at.
By air or?
Yeah, okay. Not even by air, but I think it's even closer by air. But anyways, so 8 hours, and that was 8 hours prior to us being attacked. The embassy in Egypt got overran.
That's right.
Why wasn't military assets? Why wasn't the state platoons, the Marine state platoons? That's their job, being deployed immediately when that happened. Why weren't their assets already being moved to secure that, or any other potential embassies in that area, to include the embassy up in Tripoli? So it's like they are just the incompetency was so high that it.
But my question is, when do we go from incompetency to something else? Because these are not dumb people. They're not. You know what I mean?
I think they're the DEI people before we knew what DEI was.
Right. But my point is that, Obama's a very smart guy. Like him or not, he's an intelligent man.
Yeah.
There's a pattern of him being apologistic towards a lot of Muslim culture, et cetera, which may have some place in some issues, but that narrative found its way into this. And it does leave somebody, if you're trying to piece together that things doesn't make any sense, you start to wonder, like, are you an apologist? Like, are you allowing this to happen? Is this some type of retaliation that you feel is just because you feel that they've been, oppressed,
persecuted enough?
Exactly. Yeah. So I would love to have a different answer, but where is it? Because it doesn't make sense.
I'm a little bit more polite now and I actually explain things. Usually you just do like one word liner thingies. Right. But, somebody else was kind of saying this, I go back and forth about Islam and, Christianity and stuff. And, somebody brought, we brought this hate onto us, yada, yada. And I go, hold on a second. Who attacked who first? Do you know?
Which one are you talking about?
Did America attack Islam first, or did Islam attack Americans first?
I mean, this is biblical.
But I'm just talking about America, 250 years.
Yeah, I don't know.
Tripoli, they attacked America first.
Okay.
So again, it goes back to, why do we apologize for Muslims when you got us into the war? You're the ones who took Americans hostage and slaves. That's why we sent the Marines over to Tripoli because of you guys.
When was this?
Early in the 1800s.
Okay.
So it goes like where the Marine Corps song comes from. Anyways, so when people say like we created, no, we didn't. We didn't create the hate. That's why we sent them the letter saying that, again, we're not a Christian. Adams put it in there, we're not a Christian nation, just to appease them. Like, we're not going to bring, but yet the Muslims still attacked us. We sent it to their ambassador.
John Adams?
Yeah. So that's how long ago. Again, we were just trying to do trade and stuff, and they attacked us and took us slaves first. So technically, we've been fighting them since the beginning because they attacked us, took us prisoners. And so, apologizing for what? There's nothing that we need to apologize for.
Yeah.
Regardless if you want to say 9/11 is an inside job or not, I don't know. I would hope not.
Yeah.
But after watching the JFK thing, but if the hijackers came in and your Muslim leaders in Afghanistan didn't turn over the hijackers, Bin Laden and Al Qaeda, you had the opportunity to do it, but you didn't. It's not our fault. That's your fault. I'm not apologizing for that.
Yeah.
Iraq, maybe, but even then, if it wasn't for the extremists and the jihadis, it'd be peaceful over there. It'd be a prosperous nation. It was them that came here and destabilized everything. Even with Libya, even with Afghanistan, it's them that are coming in and destabilizing their own nation because of their hatred and indoctrination. So for him to go around and apologize, what are you apologizing for? They're the ones doing it to themselves.
Yeah.
You might not agree that we're there. Yeah, we were capitalists. We're going to try to weasel our way in and get things, but your country will still be better. Look what happened to Germany. Look what happened to Japan. Look how prosperous they are.
Yeah.
We went in and we built them. Yeah, we plundered stuff from them too, but they grew up, so get the hell out. But they waited till we rebuilt them.
Yeah. I'm old fashioned. I like isolationists. Like, let's keep our defenses here.
No, I agree. Don't get me wrong. I agree, but we can't change it. I don't think we should be nation builders either.
Yeah, agreed.
I think we need to stop that stupid mentality, and because too many lives are we lose too much. We don't gain enough to justify the loss. But yeah, we need to quit invading freaking people. Somebody asks us for help. You know what? Why don't we let freaking NATO and all these other douchebags go and actually do something?
Yeah.
Put their freaking blood behind it. Just like with Ukraine and Russia. We don't need to send our guys there.
It's more complex than that.
No, it's a huge complex.
Because there's, let's go back to Gaddafi with Libya. I think it's possible that one of the reasons why, now you said that the locals were the ones that took him out. He was trying to set up a gold-backed
the gold standard thing again.
Yep, to compete with the dollar. I don't think that went unheard by the powers that be, whether it be in Washington or England or who knows wherever else. I would just presume that that's having an effect. And so what I'm getting at is, I think a lot of people on the planet are good people. They love their families.
Even Muslims.
Yeah, exactly. I know Iraqis. I know Iranians. Great people. Patrick Bet-David, who's a big podcaster guy, capitalist. I think he's Iranian. I think he's got an Iranian background. Anyway, I think a lot of people are just good people that want to do well for their families and live a good life, etc. But there is a constant conflict creation that's happening at levels that's behind the scenes. That is, pulling levers and maneuver, and then we're caught in the middle going, why? Like, I
don't think we're caught in the middle. I think our government influences it and helps. But
the average person is caught in the middle.
The people.
That's what I mean.
That's why I'm starting, kind of on my 4th episode of my podcast, kind of bringing it back from our founding, bringing it back to issues now, and kind of like trying to help people, like, okay, now, because you always hear people like, these are the problems, you need to get involved. And then people are like waiting for like, how, what do I, so my goal was to actually research how to get involved, what to do, how to take action. So that's my podcast. And I'm actually when I was just talking about this, like the corruption in our own government, you ain't even going to weed it out. It's probably going to, if we start now, it may take our great grandkids to actually see the fruit. Yeah. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be a lot of Cuba style hell, if we do it. But I just don't think people are willing to sacrifice what they got to do it. I don't see it, but it starts you can do it without a lot of suffering. But it has to start in the local community. You can't do it in DC. It's impossible. So you got to start with your local government and start doing and finding those righteous people, the virtuous people within your community, and start pushing them forward to start changing the deep state corruption that's going on. Again, it's going to take a long time, but then when you get them in there, you got to hold them accountable to why you put them in there. A lot of people don't. Yeah. And they said like 20% of the population's involved in politics. That's the problem. They're relying on the government to just do whatever. Well, that ain't what our founders expected. Our founders expected 100%, involvement of the citizens. And it's not like that anymore.
Well, I will, to a point, because the Revolutionary War itself was, I think the rebels were 5 to 10%,
if that,
right? So it does show that just a small amount of people, a small percentage of people, can affect massive change. I personally think that it comes down to sound money. If you have a fiat currency, then the system itself, the government that you're trying to hold accountable, has a blank credit card. There's infinite money. If you don't have sound money, you've got a massive, massive problem, and it attracts more and more corruption, more and more evil. Once you have a gold-backed currency, you can't snap your fingers and invent more gold. Yes, you can go mine it, but it takes labor and cost, and it's hard. And there's only so much of it on the planet. If we had a gold-backed currency, that would create an accountability. It's like a limit on a credit card that the government can't just go start a new war, build a new nation, etc. That, I think, would put handcuffs or bookends around government waste and corruption to at least give us an option to start to hold people accountable.
But again, how do you get that done? By starting local level.
Well, there's a lot of people that this is why crypto is so critical. A lot of people believe that Bitcoin is that answer. That's probably another podcast conversation, but which I've had to some degree on the podcast. But that is why people are very attracted to Bitcoin, because it does seem to be a form of perfect money. It goes even in some degrees. There's qualities about it that's even more enhanced to just gold. It's not heavy. You know, if you wanted to, people fled. You mentioned the Ukraine. People fled Ukraine with all of their wealth on a little drive. You know, that's unprecedented in our world today. And at the very least, it's an interesting debate. It's an interesting theology at the very least. But I just go back to the idea of sound money. I mean, the Bible talked about gold and silver. The Constitution, was it the Constitution or Declaration? No, the Constitution talked about gold and silver being the only way to legally, what is it? I forget the language to it, to legal tender. That gold and silver is the only legal tender. Well, we don't have gold and silver to use anymore.
Nope.
So
I don't even think there's anything in the, gosh darn it.
Fort Knox.
Fort Knox.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows?
Yep.
Who knows?
I mean, they won't even, nobody will answer it.
One last question about Benghazi before I ask you a couple more questions about what's going on with you now, and then we can kind of wrap this up. But of the plethora of things that you could choose, what do you feel most betrayed by with this whole ordeal?
To me, it's just honestly, it's the betrayal from the leadership. Mm-hmm. That's really what it comes down to, because, you know, their lies cost 4 people. You know, their lies cost the lives of 4 people. Mm-hmm. That, to me, that's the biggest betrayal.
And if it wasn't for you and some of the other GRS guys, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
To some degree, the fact that the ambassador passed was maybe even a good thing, just in regards to if he was alive and they had captured him, who knows?
It would have been horrible.
It would have been horrible.
Yeah.
So your actions, the rest of the GRS guys, you know, I think as a nation, we owe you a debt of gratitude for the selflessness. You didn't have to go. You weren't hired to go. To me, that is the American spirit. And I think we all owe you guys a debt of gratitude. So I thank you. And I'll use this platform to thank you and the guys. And I know there's controversy with the Delta guys. I've had other Delta guys on my podcast. I know there's good guys in Delta for sure.
Oh, yeah, there is.
Yeah, I'm not. This isn't to bash those guys, but all of you guys, from my perspective, make tremendous sacrifices. And it took me a while to realize that some of you guys are assholes too. You know, I had to grow up and just not paint it all with a rose-colored, glasses, but assholes that sometimes do the right thing. And, thank God for that. So,
you can't always be a nice guy getting where we're at.
Exactly. That's the thing that I don't think that, the Starbucks latte sipping person thinks about is like, you're expecting this polished, those things don't go together. You don't, really.
Usually it takes us a few years getting out to get a little polished up, but still then it's still a turd.
Go watch 13 Hours, guys. I watched 13 Hours again the other night, just before this podcast. And just watching, I guess it was Oz, but who was it whose arm was just
Oz?
Yeah, well, it was. So, and he walks in and he's directing the case officer how to find the tourniquet, what equipment. It just blows my mind that he's still leading. He's still in a leadership role while his arm is severed. It's literally hanging by tendons.
Yeah, you
guys are a different breed. So let me ask you a little bit about what you're doing now. You've mentioned history quite a bit. You're a bit of a history buff, which is kind of cool. You ran for mayor. Yeah. I assume that's part of the sacrifices you're talking about that we all need to make. Is that the reason why, or what caused you to run for mayor?
Well, it was just 2020, 2021, just I would say the lack of freedom our politicians gave us and how they pretty much turned this nation into, I don't really say a communist nation, but locked us down. They had cops arresting parents in parks. forcing restaurants and bars to shut down if you didn't meet a certain criteria. But if you're a big box office store, you could stay open. That irritated me.
Oh, just a little bit.
I was so
Same.
pissed. So that to me, that's not America. That's not freedom. I'll give them that initial 30 days or whatever it was to kind of figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
That's smart. But after that, once we started figuring out, then they still try to, this, that, come down with this, take the mask off. No, I'm done.
Yep.
It comes to a point when, this is America. We make our own decisions. If people are afraid to come out because somebody's not wearing, then stay home. Somebody's not wearing a mask, then stay home.
Yeah,
that's your right. You can't force your medical scare or your fears onto me.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what America's about.
Mm-hmm.
Either you take the risk or you don't. What our founder said. You can't give up security for freedom, otherwise you won't be free.
Yep.
And that's what happened. We gave up our freedoms for security.
Yep.
And I'm not about that. So, even it just irritated me. And I think I was just sitting on my couch and I was taking a break, and it came up, say you have like a couple days to, get your packet and turn it in for mayor. And I did it. And now I'm doing it again. Now I'm a lot more prepared. And again, like you said, it just comes, I didn't think it was hard. A lot of people won't do it because, they're going to come in, they're going to, they're going to tear your life apart, whatever, come tear it apart.
Yeah.
Because, the future for my kids and my great grandkids are more important than my life.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's just is. And I think that our founders thought the same mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It's their future generation, what's important, not what we have now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and to me, it's not a sacrifice. It's what we should be doing anyways. And I think a lot more, I think veterans have done enough, but unfortunately, the civilians aren't doing enough. So I think we got to step up even more now to ensure that not all veterans are good either. I mean, there's some assholes as well that are not, that won't do the right thing. We see them in politics now as well. But it's just getting the right ones who actually stand on what they believe. Like I've been this same way since I can remember, and you can go back all through my social media. I don't change. I stand on what I believe in, and I don't back down. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm wrong, I'll try to fix it. But my belief in my country, I'll never veer from. So to me, starting with, you can only do so much as a mayor, but it's a start.
Mm-hmm.
It's to start showing leadership in the city, and then hopefully more people actually stand up, have the courage to actually take that step.
Mm-hmm.
Start doing school boards, county commissioner, because people say, well, I don't know how to do it. So what? Get in there and do it. That's how you figure it out.
Yeah.
If you're a good-hearted person, even if you see somebody in church that has the mindset or, has that virtue, get them to encourage them to start stepping up and making a difference. A lot of times that's all somebody needs is somebody just to encourage. So that's what my kind of goal is just to kind of show, again, I'm not a politician. I never ran for freaking class anything. I ran for mayor last time, not knowing what the hell I was going to do. I mean, it was me and a friend trying to figure it out for 9 weeks. I didn't have a team, but I didn't care. It was just about, to me, it was easy. I was going through a divorce. I was starting a new job and running for office. I didn't think it was hard at all, but I love chaos too. So maybe that's why, I don't know, but but now I'm doing it again, 2 years prep, and yeah.
When, for what year?
2027.
2027. Okay. Heard it here.
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
You are also a songwriter.
Yeah.
Tell me about some of these songs that you wrote.
So I don't know if I'm really a songwriter. I get it, because to me it's just, so it started off as just angry writings after Benghazi and stuff, and just kind of sitting around at night just trying to get my crap out of my head.
Yeah.
And so I wrote a couple of them and actually posted. I think it was I forgot what I named it, but it's out there. But it's like the Benghazi Warriors or something like that is what it initially was. And a buddy of mine, David Corlew, saw it. And I think I might have had AI kind of reading it, I think. But anyways, David gets a hold of me and says, hey, you need to do a voiceover on this. I'm like, what do you mean a voiceover? Read it. So I sat on it for a few months. Then I started reading it. I didn't like the way it sounded. So I actually started changing some of it, so it flowed better, I guess. And I'm like, I'm not really a poem writer, but I started Googling words, like what is, trying to think of different things, how to say it. And a buddy of mine said, hey, you should kind of the same thing, said, hey, you should put this into this app and it'll sing it to you. I think she's making it to a song. It's like, I don't know how to do a song either. You know, I'm not a, you know, to me, it's a poem. I guess it's a poem. I'm not a poem writer. People say, oh, no, you're poetic or whatever. So that's kind of how it evolved. And then, you know, it's still kind of figuring how to, a lot of them don't even have chorus. Like I wrote a bunch of them. There's some that have, I've kind of figured out how to do like a chorus, how to repeating, but I still don't really, anyways, some are just straight through. Like there's no chorus, no nothing, just kind of continues on. But yeah, that's kind of how it came to be. So it's not me singing, it's AI. And I talked to my buddy Dave because he was going to try to get a couple big singers. He was Charlie Daniels' manager for years. So he knows people. And, you know, I was like, well, what if I just kind of share this? And because I don't know if anybody's going to sing it. I have no idea. So I was like, you know, would it be bad if I just post it? And it's like, no. He's like, go ahead. If somebody still might pick it up. But again, if I don't even do this, what if nobody ever picks them up? I was like, good point. So screw it. So I'm just I just shared them that way.
Yeah, they're on Spotify. I listened to them. There's a lot of heart in it. You mentioned in one of the lyrics, there was something about a Kevin.
So that one is Go Die in the Dark. So I wrote that with a lot of issues. Initially, I wrote it was just VA issues. So like hearing guys, and I just kind of wrote things down. And then I saw his post about him, and then he was trying to raise funds to help his family and stuff like that. And
was this a veteran as well?
Yeah, a Marine veteran.
Okay.
And so I was like, you know, at least I can try to. So I pretty much put his name in it and sent it to him. So all the funds raised out of that's going to go to him.
Oh, that's cool.
So
that's cool. We are 13 years removed from the attack of the consulate. Why does it matter today?
You know, the biggest thing is why things matter, so you don't try to repeat them. You know, you honor the guys who definitely didn't make it. You try to honor the guys who fought through everything. But if you forget what happened, you're bound to let it happen again. And which again, with nobody held accountable, it's going to happen. You know, just like like Vietnam. A lot of Vietnam vets would tell you, man, what happened, that pullout should never happen again. But what happened in Afghanistan was even the same debacles, because you try to learn from your past, but the biggest thing, you know, you honor your past generation by remembering them. And it also helps the future generation, you know, have that encouragement to actually fight for its own country. Because if you just kind of erase the past and nobody has, you know, there's nothing to be honored about or be proud of.
Well, on that note, how do you want to be remembered?
As an asshole?
I'm sure some people will
I know, right?
happily take you up on that.
You know, I have no idea. Don't, you know, as long as my kids love me, that's all I care about.
Yeah. That's, I can relate to that as a father. Just in hearing your story and spending some time with you, I got to meet your lovely wife the other day as well. There's an integrity to you. There's an dignity. I feel like those two qualities really ring true. And then there's a sense of righteousness, and it's really, really inspiring to hear stories of like yours, when you guys did something you didn't have to do. Why did you do it? Because it was the right thing to do. And I feel like our culture is really missing that. I think America needs to get back to that, a revitalization of true masculinity, which to me is doing the right thing even when it's hard. And when you say that you're going to do something, do it. So that integrity, that righteous sense of righteousness, coupled with the selflessness, to me is how I'll remember your story in Benghazi, and how this podcast will, remember it. But yeah, I think as a dad, I always come back to that too. Yeah. I have 2 kids as well. So, but anyway, John, thank you so much for doing this again.
No
again,
problem,
for those
man.
that didn't know, we did record a whole podcast and I lost it with the tech, and you were that's another thing. When I called you up and I'm like, how am I going to tell him that he just wasted his entire afternoon with me? And
it was funny when you called, I saw it, and my wife was like, I bet you nothing recorded.
He's got no reason to be calling me. He just talked to me for 2 hours. And without hesitation, you said, when are we going to record again? I was like, oh man, you're such a good dude. I appreciate it.
No problem, man.
Anyway, well, John, thank you so much.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.